What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode and live stream of Let's Get Nuts here on the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back, guys. We have a fun show for you. We got some great panelists I haven't seen here on the show in a little while. Today, we're going to talk a bit about being a YouTube creator, and I'm going to share some of my analytics. So kind of the back end of the program, so you guys can see what it looks like to be a YouTuber, kind of the efforts that go in, the money that's made from it, if that's something you're interested in, because I want to talk about kind of the community perspective of that. And I also have so much to talk about with regards to Hot Toys news. We're going to look at inart. We're going to talk also, unfortunately, about the passing of Donald Sutherland. So guys, stick around. We're going to have a great show for you. Let's get nuts.
What are you doing? You're completely outnumbered here. Are you nuts? You want to get nuts? You want to get nuts?
You want to get nuts?
You want to get nuts? You want to get nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts.
So, of course, it would not be a Sunday if we didn't try and class it up just a little bit, let's be honest. And I haven't seen this man in a couple of weeks because last week I was getting burned in a fishing boat. I don't have any color still. It's not good. But at the same time, I missed my opportunity to see this man. Classy Thomas back in the house again. Good to see you, buddy. Welcome back.
It's good to see you too, my friend. I every time I'm not able to be on the show with you, I always feel like I'm missing a part of my Sunday because it's fun to hang out with my bro.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
And I still claim that I am old enough to be your father. So Luke, instead of Luke, I'll say Ben.
I tried to darken up in the fishing. I tried to darken up in the fishing boat. It didn't work. It didn't work. So we'll see.
Gosh.
But happy to be your unofficial stepchild for sure, Classy
That's
Thomas.
right.
And it's funny because I was telling you in the background, but I'll tell the community here as well. Whenever I type in Thomas now on my messenger chat in our Let's Get Nuts group, I'm like, okay, who's in the show this week, and get show of hands who wants to join. And I can literally type in @classy, and it literally pulls up Thomas. So even Facebook Messenger recognizes you as Classy Thomas now.
I love the fact that people think I'm classy. That makes me feel good.
Good to have you back here. Now we do have another guest with us here. Some would argue the better half was with us last week. But, we got to get both sides of the argument, let's be honest. So let's bring in Marco from 16Fix in the house with us today. Good to see you, buddy. How's it going, man?
Ben, just like that, I got to get out of here. You're already throwing shit at me, but no. I don't think anyone argues that Gigi is the much better half. So, no, Ben, awesome. I'm glad I was able to get, I mentioned that I joined a basketball league on Sundays. So this kind of evolved from, we were just going to play a game and go home to, we play the game, everyone gets together afterwards. Normally there's shots of tequila involved. Sundays have gotten a little bit out of hand, so we have a bye week until the playoffs next week. So felt like the perfect time to jump in and talk about some figures.
Heck yeah, and I know you got some plans later, so if you have to jump out, just let me know. We may show you out the door a little early, but we got a great show, and I'm excited to have you here for some of your takes, because I know, as much as we're good friends, we don't always agree on some of the topics that we're going to talk about today. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. So, but thanks for coming back, bud. And once again, if you see Gigi later, give her a hug for us. We all really appreciated her taking the time last week. 2.5 hours we had her for. I don't even think you get her for 2.5 hours on She Said No. So
we will be sending you the bill. So yeah, her billable hours.
Her time is expensive
were racked
these days.
up there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's bring in our next guest. Now, you may recognize this person from several of the different streaming channels kind of throughout the course of the week. And I keep trying to get him back on Let's Get Nuts because I always have a good time with this man. Today, he's a little bit busy. He's driving through the mountains, being extra, extra safe, so he's not going to be able to look us in the face all that well. But I'm happy to have you back, Mr. Calvin, low-key collector. How you doing today, buddy?
What's up, everybody? I'm good. I'm happy. I literally knew I was going to be out of town for work. Saw you hit the chat saying, yo, who's down? I said, I was like, put me down. I had my day mapped out. I expected to be on my laptop in the back, ready to go. and the road had other plans. So here we are. But I'm
The way she
here.
goes. It's the way of the road. The way of the road. Love to see it. Buddy, thank you so much for being back once again. Guys,
Thanks
we
for
have a
having
really
me,
fun
guys.
show. Really fun show for you guys today. But we also have some interesting stuff that I do kind of want to share. And I mentioned this in my intro. For the people just rolling in now, I want to talk a little bit about, kind of very briefly, being a YouTube creator and content making and stuff like that, because I think it's important to kind of show the man behind the curtain. And sometimes YouTube feels a little bit Wizard of Ozzy, where, you know, all you get a chance to see is us on screen, but you don't know some of the back end look to it. And I've seen people out there, you know, claim that YouTubers are in it for the money. I'm sure some are. I've seen people say, hey, you know, fake subscribers exist if you only use shorts or if you only do long form content or whatever. Doesn't matter really what the perspective is. I think it's cool to see the truth behind it, because when we talk about transparency, when we talk about being open with the so called kind of community, I think that there absolutely is one. I talk to people every single day about 1/6 scale figures, whether that comes from a video I've made or just people connecting with me on Instagram and shooting the shit. Some of my best friends in life, including the boys on this panel right now, I only met because I just wanted to get on YouTube and talk about toys, and as a result, I got an opportunity to be really close with those folks. I'll start with a little housekeeping. So the Ben Thomas Show hit 10,000 subscribers this week, which was wild, absolutely wild. Thank you for everybody who's supported it. The people in this chat, in the panel, I mean, you guys are the absolute regulars. I see the same names here every single week, week over week. That's where I get a lot of my fun engagement, a lot of the excitement, a lot of the friendships built. But 10K is a wild number. When I got started, I never honestly thought I'd kind of cross that 1,000 mark. It took me about a year and a half to get to 1,000, and about 300 videos in order to get to 1,000. The very first video I told you guys about, I posted, and it took me like 4 hours to make it, and I was all proud of it, and not kidding, 34 people in the whole world watched that video. 34. And so it was kind of wild.
I watched a good, 2 to 3 minutes of it. So
I appreciated it. I appreciated it.
But you're also talking about the entire world, so you have worldwide exposure already.
There you go.
34 people. Love to see it. Now, the channel crossed 7 million views this week, and I will give a lot of credit where it's due. If it weren't for other channels who have brought me on as guests, again, all of you guys included here, Collecting Weekly, Will Foxification, so many other channels, too many to honestly name, who have given me a chance to chat, I wouldn't be able to be out in the community as much as I am. And shorts have also played a huge factor lately, and I think it's worth addressing the viewership and the subscribers that can come from shorts. Just to add, before I change the screen here, 1/6 Kit has been generous enough to provide me a $10 off coupon code. I'm not really affiliated with 1/6 Fix. I buy my stuff from them, but I don't get the influencer batch. I don't get any of those things.
You did say 1/6 Fix right now.
My apologies. 1/6 Kit. You see, that's what I exactly. Because I'm reading your name, right? But if you guys want $10 off over on Kit, if you shop there, use the code if you'd like. Kit doesn't give kitbacks or anything like that. It's really just for you guys to be able to use and save a couple bucks.
Well, Marco, you know, since he's already declared that you give $10 off, you can actually just send my check in the mail. I'll spend it on the figure. I promise you.
There we go. All right, fair enough.
So guys, let me know in the comments, if you can. Everybody watching, we got about 25 people here so far. Let me know if you guys want to see the analytics, but I'm going to start with the question first, because I think what's important about analytics is not the number itself. It doesn't really matter how many subscribers you have. It doesn't matter how many comments a week you get. It doesn't really matter, because I've said before, if there's ways to overinflate these numbers, then once everybody's special, nobody's special. But what I think actually makes people on the internet special is maybe the comments, or I should say the content that they're trying to create. And I stream with a lot of people every week who deserve more than 10,000 subscribers in their channels, in my opinion. They've been at it for years. These videos and live streams take hours and hours and hours to make. And just like my first video with 34 views, the analytics isn't very fair to them, because YouTube, I think, wants to be the new TikTok, with short content and not necessarily support long form creators. So I wanted to shout out a couple creators, and there's many. So guys, if you don't get named today, don't feel offended. These are just some of the ones that come to my head. Figurecraft out there right now has been working really, really hard on YouTube to get his content out into the public eye. And it's hard to get the analytics to recognize you. So I think Figurecraft is one. Good old Spotchka, or Danny Spotchka, is another guy that's out there who is a wonderful dude within the community. Tries really hard, shows up when he's asked to do so, and I think deserves some great recognition and content. Pop Culture Relics is another one. He's been on our show a couple times over the last few months, and really cool guy, really great content, and deserves a little bit of recognition. And then the one other that I'm going to mention today is One Adam 12th. He just started a channel, and he just did an unboxing recently with his daughter. And, you know, he was one of those folks who put out the video and immediately apologized because, oh, I don't have the best camera editing techniques, and I don't have, you know, all of this fancy gear yet. But I just wanted to open this figure and kind of celebrate it with my daughter. And I thought it was heartwarming, and I thought it was fun. And I think, again, those are the people we want to support. So before I show you guys the backside of my analytics, please let me know if you guys want to see that. You guys on the panel, what's one or two, you know, let's keep it short, but one or two creators out there that exist, doesn't even have to be in the 1/6 community, do you think are great YouTube channels that just aren't getting this much love yet from the analytics? What are your thoughts? Marco, I'll go to you first. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, absolutely happy to take this one. So Ben, obviously we're going to get further into analytics talk because I feel like you and I feel very differently about analytics. I will say one channel, and it's not even that they're not getting the recognition they deserve, because I think they're well on their way, but Evil Sneaker, he does a Sunday show, a Sunday evening show, and I will say it's like such a nice compliment to all the other shows. Whereas, you know, the Ben Thomas show may have one flavor, he's got this really like late night talk show, well, maybe not a talk show, but a late night host. His voice is just really like soothing. Like one time I put it on, wasn't even watching the stream, just was like laying there listening to it. And I will say, like, it's just a really, really nice, it's a well done show. He's well spoken. And so I think that that's one up and coming channel that, you know, that was my first time catching their Sunday show. And I'm like, I kind of want to tune in more often. Probably not going to be able to do it live, but, you know, on the replay. So that's one person I want to shout out for sure.
Hell yeah, Evil Sneaker's great. Definitely tune into his show tonight, the sneak peek. I can't ever remember the time zones because of where I am in the world, but I think it was 7 p.m. Pacific time, if I'm not mistaken.
He's going right up against House of Dragon too, so that's a tough time slot.
Oh, that's gonna be a hard one for the next couple of weeks.
There we go.
What about you? What about you, Classy? Is there any kind of favorite channels that you have? Again, doesn't have to be 1/6 that you feel like deserve the kind of analytics recognition that I'm getting lately from YouTube? Because again, I think it's important to show those folks out or call those folks out.
All right, yeah. Actually, one of the ones I kind of would like to plug initially will be something that's on the CW, which is Small Talk, and which we're alternating between that and CW Movie Night. I've been doing that. I've been doing CW Movie Night with Chris, who also does Small Talk, and this guy puts in so much effort. I mean, I'm telling you, he's taught me some things, and he's also been kind of encouraging me. He was like, look, all right, he was preparing slides. He was like, listen, you need to go into StreamYard and play around with it, because maybe you need to do some format. And I've been putting it off because probably because I got the lazy bones, and, you know, I like to sleep late. I like to get in the massage chair. You know, I mean, look, y'all hear about the massage chair all the time. So, but this guy puts forth so much effort, and you know, and to be honest with you, I think he needs to really have his own channel, because he's really that good, and he's a lot of fun to stream with. I've been having a blast doing that movie night. Just even, I mean, as a matter of fact, I sent him a messenger message. I send him one usually once a week, because we're doing just a 12-week. It's like 2 per month, so we have a 6-month commitment where each of us picked 6 movies. all right, why is it that every week I say, okay, I'm changing a movie again. I think I want to do this one instead. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to change this one to this. And he's just so patient and has been working with me and you know, it's kind of given me that little oomph to kind of put in that little extra effort also, because I mean, I actually wrote a script for myself for the when we did my movie, you know, 2 weeks ago. I mean, well, 2 movies ago. So you know, and that's something I've never done. Usually I just get on the stream and just kind of wing it, but I was like, man, I said, you know, he's forcing me to up my game. So so I definitely want to plug that. But there is a YouTuber now. This guy is not hurting for streams. As a matter of fact, he's sometimes people call him the sign guy, and this guy has 7.07 million subscribers. So he's not hurting, but his name is Austin Molno, Mollno, and he almost exclusively does shorts, but they are so engaging. He works in a sign shop and he makes signs, and everything from the editing to the actual signs he's making. As a matter of fact, you know, once I come up with an actual logo, I plan to contact him and ask him if he'll custom make me a sign that I can hang, you know, as part of my branding. But yeah, this guy is he's a young fella and he's fun and I enjoy the things that just like your show, and that's part of the reason why I enjoy watching your content and why I love watching, you know, 1/6 Fix and watching the two of you interact. I get a little taste of everybody's lives, like, you know, seeing you and Gigi, you know, kind of having your little fun banter, but you still see
like
the
a horror
love.
movie right there.
Yeah, but you know, but you can still, no matter how much horror, you can still see the love. You're like, these two are so in love. They're so in love.
Horror
They can just
or horror. I gotta miss that.
Wow. Hey, when she rewatches this, you better be careful. All right.
And then Ben, of course, you know, the joy I get out of his excitement for doing his content. I mean, it kind of gives me a jolt of energy and just that fun feeling that, you know, it's the way I want to feel most of the days of my life. I want to feel happy and enjoy the fact that I'm here. And so that's the content I have a tendency to gravitate towards. So thank you guys
Filled with pure
for all
nut is
that
what
you're
you're trying to say.
Say what?
Filled with pure nut. Filled with pure nut is how you want to live your life. Love to see it.
So, yeah, but
Classy, well said, buddy.
thank both of you and all the creators out there. You know, all of you that I've had a chance to in some way interact with. Thank you for giving us a little taste of your life, and giving us a chance to enjoy, have some joy out of that, because there's enough messed up stuff happening in the world that I don't need to intentionally pick content that's going to make me feel down. So I always go to the people that make me feel up, and you two guys are certainly, you know, part of that thing. So thank you. Thanks, CW. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing, guys.
I feel like we need an award. This has turned into an award ceremony celebration. I love it. I'm gonna send Marco an Oscar. Yeah. Thank you, Classy. And I wanted to shout out Pop Culture Relics, who just became a channel member with the Ben Thomas Show. One of the Tough Nut crew. You love to see it. Just so you're aware, I did not shout PCR out in order to go to mid membership, but I appreciate it. Either way, PCR, it is.
It's good to see you.
And let's say thank you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, good sir. I appreciate you. Let's move on because I want to keep the show moving on here. Calvin, short and sweet. Who's one YouTuber you think deserves a little bit more recognition? Maybe not getting the same analytic love as the rest of us. What are your thoughts?
Evil Sneakers co-host Justin, how you figure? Great dude.
How you figure?
Me and him talk all the time. He also likes basketball, so his team let me down with these punk ass Celtics, but It is what it is. And another one, Killer Cam is it collectibles?
Yes.
Cam collectibles. He's been killing it on on his Hollywood side, having interviews with individuals. So Cam deserves it as well. So those two, both Cam and Justin, I would say.
That's a good one. Yeah, Cam definitely needs a
Well-
little bit more love.
Well said, buddy. Well said. And yes, how you figure? Love that guy, dude. Justin's a good dude. Means very well as well. And the first to say I'm not familiar with this, but this is what my thoughts are. And sometimes I like that transparency. I think that he comes off as a very genuine person, and I really, really appreciate him. We got Oxfather from Collecting Weekly in the house. Anytime Zach shows up in my back room there, I'm like, oh shit, my sound must be out. Hopefully not the case. Mr. Zach, Collecting Weekly, the Oxfather himself. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for jumping in, man. That's awesome. Appreciate it. You got through your food line? Were you able to eat in time and all the things?
No, I'll just eat after the stream. I went to order Panda Express, and every time I go, they don't have like the teriyaki chicken ready. I don't understand it because I feel like it's a part of like 4 of their entrees. Every time I go, they're like, "Oh, we need to put chicken down." It's like, bro. But at least
Made
it's
to
fresh.
order then. It's there you go. It's
VB will have fresh food. But yeah, sorry about.
You didn't want to do the burrito, the orange chicken burrito?
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
It
How do
looks
you do
awful.
that?
I think you just tell them you want it.
I didn't even know they had
Just tell
tortillas
them
there.
you
What the
want
fuck?
it.
I thought that was only at Disneyland. Damn.
Right, Calvin, bro. Never again.
Guys, great warm up. I do want to move on with the show here. So let's look at this. So Zach, you weren't here for the warm up game, but what I wanted to kind of address now that we got over 40 people here is we've talked a little bit about YouTubers that I think deserve 10K or more. Honestly, more. The amount of effort that goes into some of their content is wild. And we talked about some of those folks today. But I thought it would be fun to show the other side of the curtain, because this is the side of the curtain I never really got to see before I joined YouTube. And maybe for the folks out there that are considering it, maybe this will motivate you. Maybe it'll demotivate you. I'm not 100% sure. I don't really have a motivation of showing this to you, and it's not meant to be braggadocious. It's not meant for any of those things. If anything, it's more meant for transparency. When we talk about transparency within the 1/6 scale community, and we talk about the transparency of being a YouTuber and all of the things, are we in it for the money? Are we in it for the collecting? Are we in it for the community of folks? I think the analytics help to identify whether you're being honest about yourself or not, and how you're showing yourself. So I'll show you this. So this is our master screen when you're a YouTube creator, and this is kind of our channel dashboard. It shows my current subscriber count, 10,400 there, which is, again, wild. Before Shorts content started to exist, I was sitting at about 3,500 subscribers. So still very proud of that number, but definitely inflated by Shorts content because of the vast amount of people that those content seems to reach. One of the craziest things that I recognized was when I was looking at content overall, Shorts versus videos. In most of my long form content, like live streams and YouTube videos, the majority of my audience, in terms of analytics wise anyways, is male, somewhere between 30 and 55. A couple females in there, but very, very low percentage watched longer form and short and live stream content. Whereas with subscriber content and viewership for Shorts, it's actually more like 50-50. So we have a much higher engagement with female audience with regards to Shorts, which I think is really interesting. In terms of revenue, just again, for the sake of fun and transparency, I started my channel in 2022, so it's been 2 years, March of 2022, so it's just been slightly over its second birthday. In my lifetime on the channel here, sorry, that's what I meant to click, the channel has earned $1,500 in total. That includes membership revenue, so PCR just became a channel member. That includes YouTube advertising, it includes super chats, it includes kind of all of it. Now, some people are higher than me.
These real dollars or Canadian dollars?
These are Canadian dollars, so this would be... Yeah, this would be what? This would be not much more, was it less or more in American dollars? I forget now. It would be a lot more in American dollars, probably like $2,300 in American dollars, U.S. freedom bucks. But what I think is interesting about this is when I take a look at my channel, When I started, again, a video would take me about 4 hours to make. It wouldn't get much viewership, a couple bucks maybe that you'd earn from it. That would be about it. In terms of recent content, if I look at my overall videos, so 560 odd videos, if I averaged it out at about 2 hours of video, which is, that's for the 10-minute shorts, 2 to 4 hour videos, and then about 5 hours per weekend to put on Let's Get Nuts. I figure if I averaged it out at 2 hours per video, it's about just over 1,100 hours, which means that per hour the channel is made in the lifespan of all the content I've ever made. I make about 37 cents an hour doing YouTube. So not crazy money, unfortunately, but the cool thing is the amount of engagement that I've gotten from it. And so that's one of the things that I really wanted to share, that when folks feel that maybe YouTubers are in it for the money, I don't really think that that's the case. Some maybe more than others. And I think as you progressively get larger, obviously those numbers will change. But that's with a viewership of 7 million channel views since the start of my channel. And so I'll go through some of the screens here, but Marco, I was curious what your take is, because you have a very different take on viewership, a very different take on shorts content. In my opinion, while shorts content does bring in real subscribers, because they're real people that comment and everything, they're definitely a different type of subscriber. Those folks don't seem to watch any of my long form content, and so my viewership per month stays pretty similar, even with the influx in those numbers. So what are your thoughts while I cruise through some screens here, buddy?
Yeah, Ben. So first of all, I just want to say congratulations. Like your channel's killing it. You're killing it. You put in a lot of work, as you alluded to. It didn't happen by accident. You are very consciously trying to push forward your channel and try to grow it. And so it's great to see the success you've had. When we've had these conversations when you were first starting out, obviously those times when videos were only getting 50 views or something along those lines, my view has always been, we're not in, personally, Gigi and myself are not in the YouTube sphere to ever try to get famous, right? I think we just started doing a podcast because it's almost like therapy for us, right? So it was, I was at home talking to streams. I was watching like 6 Scale Scavengers and others, and I was just talking out loud. Like I had something to say, I just didn't necessarily have an avenue to say it. And so when we started the podcast, it's like, I can share my opinions. When we do the show with She and I can share opinions on Bargain Bin Bros. And so it just kind of gives me a creative outlet to express my opinions, to design things for the show. But I was always telling you, I don't really care about the analytics so much, because I feel like I only want to do content that I would watch. So I only want to make things that would, make me happy to watch, or I feel proud of to produce. And sometimes they come out really shitty and you're like, okay, well, hopefully I can improve on the next one. But that's always been my metric. So in terms of like subscribers and channel views, that stuff is not as important to me necessarily, but it is nice, right? Like it is nice to see like, okay, well, someone is watching this, someone is getting joy out of it, like Thomas was expressing earlier. You kind of do want to have that like positive impact on the community. You don't want no one to watch, but at the end of the day, I don't feel necessarily that subscriber count is a direct reflection of quality. Just certain things resonate with folks better, certain things hit the algorithm better. It's just really hard to say, right? So it's hard to attach your self-worth to an algorithm. But at the same time, it is great to see folks that are doing great work like yourself, like CW, endless channels, have a subscriber count that accurately reflects the great content that's being produced. So at the end of the day, I don't care so much for the analytics for the subscriptions, but I do like to see my friends, getting a larger piece of the pie, because, at the end of the day, that could lead to bigger and better things for everyone. So I think, it's really, really awesome to see. But I know we've always felt a little bit differently about how to view these analytics, because you're seeing every single thing. You're tracking, okay, males, females, where I'm like, well, some people watch, some people didn't. Show up if you don't, show up if you want to. So that's kind of where we've been at.
Yeah, for sure. The 65 plus crew, I'm curious, how many 85-year-olds out there have got watching the show, and as well as like as young as 13 to 17, like just in the last 28 days, which is wild. But I agree with what you're saying, Marco, in terms of seeing the analytics for what they are, because analytics are just numbers, and numbers can overinflate, trends can overinflate things, and subscribers will come and go. Some of these may just completely fall off if they decide they don't like the shorts content anymore, but the same could be said for longer form content like these shows. A lot of us don't have 2.5 hours a week to dedicate to a show, let alone all of the amazing live streams that happen from all of the different creators over the course of the week, plus videos, plus shorts, plus. I know I definitely don't have enough time to keep up with everybody. Zach, your channel has done really, really well over the last couple days. Really, definitely, finally, the analytics are hitting for you a little bit. We've talked a little bit about how that feels like, almost like winning a small lottery, because it's amazing how long YouTube ignores good creators for before they give them any attention at all. Your channel and Marco's channel, those were the two channels that really gave me my opportunity to have any voice at all. And I was happy to make good friends out of it, let alone all of this other stuff. And so for you, you know, Collecting Weekly is a show that's been around for forever. Like, I was watching Collecting Weekly 2 years before I even thought about starting YouTube. And so to me, you guys are the pros. You guys are the ones that deserve more analytics than a little creator like myself. So what are your thoughts lately on your recent success, shorts content? Are those real subscribers? Are they not? How are they different from your other viewership that you were getting previously?
I think, first off, it's neat to finally see sort of the fruits of your labor, I guess. Like Ben said, we've been around for a while. Traditionally, I think historically through our entire career, we've really done just live streams. And I know that live streams aren't, things that typically hit the algorithm, so to speak. And so I think the past few years we've pushed, and especially this year, pushed to try to have more marketable content. Like, I think YouTube kind of says, like, shoot for 10-minute videos, like the catchy thumbnails. And I've always said historically, like, you're never going to see me on a stream doing a goofy ass face like a lot of content creators do, which, you know, works for them. I'm just not that confident in myself
This or that.
to do that. Yeah, this or that. Maybe I'll do this, but you see people do like the, or like the sad face.
I have a whole gallery of myself doing these types of things. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
I apologize in
Ben, Zach would
advance.
never do anything like that. He would only paint his face like the Joker for a live stream. That's all he would do.
That's where I draw the line, Marco. And so it is nice to have some success. The comment that I saw the other day about collectors, I guess content creators being excited about fake subscribers and only getting engagement off of shorts, I thought was kind of silly, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of channels out there. If I get a bunch of subscribers, that doesn't mean that someone like Ben or Marco or Thomas or any other content creators out there can't also get those same subscribers as well. It's just, at the end of the day, if I try to engage someone for a sponsorship opportunity or a giveaway or even just an interview or just something to make content, telling someone like, hey, I have an audience of 10,000 subscribers sounds better and more enticing than saying, hey, I have an audience of 3,000 subscribers. And that's just the way the world works. I know people that uploaded one short, got millions of views, and they went from like 10,000 to like 300,000 overnight. Or I know people that have 100,000 subscribers and their one viral video was not even related to what their channel's about now. So again, having that clout of being able to come into a stream or come into a opportunity and say, hey, I have 100,000 subscribers, it just speaks volumes. And a lot of times it's going to open up doors that, even though a channel like mine might have a certain engagement that's higher than a different channel that might have more subscribers or vice versa, at the end of the day, that is what people are going to judge your book by its cover, and that cover is going to be what your sub count is 9 times out of 10. Sometimes you'll have people that want to advertise with you where they do want to see your analytics like Ben's showing, and they do want to see, okay, for your live streams, what's your average viewership, what's your average watch time, what's your average this and that. But I've done this for a long time. I've worked with a lot of different companies, and really all they care about is what's your subscriber count. So as far as money goes, I think it's great that Ben showed his. People think that CW makes a lot of money, and while we do have Patreon, the Patreon I think is down 40% from 2 years ago, and the YouTube revenue, we don't do as well as Ben's channel. I think you showed something like almost $250 Canadian. I think we're getting paid like every other month. So on YouTube to get paid, you need to hit $100 in a 30-day period, or once you hit $130, you get paid the next month. And so we get paid about every 2 months, and it's really not that much. And of that, I don't know how it works in Canada, but we have to set aside, first off, every dollar that we get, I believe for you as well, 40% goes straight to Google. And then of that, so if someone donates $100, you only see 60. And then of that 60, we need to set aside like 30% for taxes at the end of the year. So when I'm getting paid every other month, and then of that, another 30% goes to taxes, it's really not lucrative. My end goal, I've always said this, it's different than I think Marco's, but I would like to make this a career. I would like to be able to quit my main job and do this as a full-time thing. But that, I can't even imagine how much income or revenue you'd have to make that a sustainable thing. But I do enjoy making content. Obviously, at this point, I'm not feeding my family with every other month $100, you know. And so right now we're doing it, and it's fun. We've seen a lot of love from the algorithm this month. I always kind of think about it like this, Ben. If you can pull up this image, it's kind of like a meme, but it's like, for a while I was getting discouraged because I would see Ben having all this success and Marco having some success on some of his shorts, and it's weird because we do share with each other, like, hey, this hashtag is doing really well, or this sound is doing really well, or this idea is doing really well. And I would say, like, I would try to do the same thing, and it, like, for example, Marco, you had told me the symbiote short that you had put up had gotten some crazy numbers. You gave me the hashtags, you gave me the sound. Yeah.
Wow.
I got like 10 views doing basically the exact same thing. And so it's totally random. Ben, I'm not sure if you can bring up this video, but it's almost like there was a point where I was like, I felt like maybe stopping to do shorts, but I guess you kind of never know when you're going to hit that, I guess, like the gold, or like you kind of win the lottery. So yeah, it's just one of those things. And you know, I know there's some other YouTubers that are in our circle that have also done pretty well on shorts this week, and at the end of the day, I think YouTube wants to compete with TikTok and Facebook, and they are promoting people that do shorts. And I think that's just one of those things that if you want to be successful in this field, you have to adapt. You have to you know, you have to be willing to change what you're doing to match what people are finding success with. And you know, it hadn't hit for us for like 2 years. I felt like we'd kind of just been spinning our wheels, but got a little bit of love lately. Don't know how long it's gonna last for, but I'm enjoying it. So it's nice to, you know, feel appreciated in some small way.
Heck yeah.
Well, and it's interesting, you know, great thoughts, Zach. Thank you for sharing as well. You know, I've been scrolling comments along the way here, because a lot of these comments recently are from even just my most recent couple of shorts. And these are all real people out there in the world that want certain things, that get excited when this stuff pops up in their newsfeed. And they might not watch Let's Get Nuts. They might not watch some of my longer videos, but people are still really excited to see cool stuff. It's just the whole purpose of getting into hobby like 1/6 for me was disconnecting from reality a little bit, not talking about things like politics and the world and money and stress and those things. It was to talk about something that was more inspiring. When you guys watch my videos every week, I'm genuinely excited to talk about the things on my channel, because it was my idea to put it on there to begin with. I'm like, if I want to talk about Wolverine versus Hono or whatever, hell yeah, I'm going to talk about that shit. I might not love all of the things that I'm talking about, but I definitely have a passion for it, and way more than my regular everyday life of selling paint jobs to people. That to me is a means to income and to pay for everything, not something I'm passionate about. Calvin, you're on you're on streams quite often every week, and while you don't have a YouTube channel specifically, you've gotten a good taste of a lot of different types of creators, what they're actually like, even behind the scenes. And again, this is not meant to call anybody out at all, because I think cliques in humanity also exist. I think certain groups of people gravitate to each other. One of the reasons that I've done Collecting Weekly Tuesday live show every week for 2 years is because I trust those people that run that show. They're my friends. I know that I can be honest with them, and they can be critical with me, and we can still be okay. I've had lots of guests on Let's Get Nuts, but the whole purpose of this show was to have fun and talk about things, and not to take it too seriously. And so that's why you guys see panelists come and go. It's why I don't have the same crew every single week. But that's part of the fun part. But also, Calvin, again, you've had a chance to be involved with lots of the different groups in the community. What is your take on just being more in the YouTube space? Has it been something that's enjoyable for you? Have you found it more like work? What are your takes now that you've been doing it a while?
I've seen both sides. I've seen the good and the bad. There's a lot of shit that goes on behind scenes that can be distasteful. But in the grander scheme of things, I've had a great time doing it. I've met several different. When I started collecting, I never thought I'd have friends all over the damn world. I can't say out the country, out the world. I've got Ben in Canada. I know if I want to go to Canada, Ben, I'm coming through. I've got 14 Wellington. I'm coming through. I'm possibly seeing Brian Wong in Singapore for my anniversary on a vacation with my wife. I'm seeing Joelle next year in China when I go to Tokyo. So never expected to have this wide span of friendships and connections with individuals. So where I made, and then, don't get me wrong, I've had several of the guys, why don't you get a channel? Why don't you do this? This is why I don't do it. My schedule is completely unorthodox. Mm-hmm. I'm in Colorado right now. I don't drive this far. I literally didn't want to take this route. I gave them a rate that I didn't want them to accept. I was like, I put the rate too high. They're not going to take it. They made the shit happen. I was like, fuck. Now I got to go.
Gotta do it.
So I won't be complaining. I won't be complaining when I get paid next week. But now here I am stuck in the middle of nowhere on my Sunday where I'd rather be at home with my wife. So it is what it is. But I've had enjoyable, I'd say 90-10. I've had a lot more happy times out of this situation than I have had bad times. So I've had a great experience with this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing, buddy. Lastly, but of course, certainly not least, Mr. Classy, you've been in the YouTube sphere a little bit yourself over the last 2 years. You have a little channel that you enjoy kind of throwing some content on. I know you're working on it all the time. You're one of those creators that I think deserves a little more recognition. I know you've had some tips for editing from Chris and some of those things, but none of us are professional editors, at least not that I'm aware of. Zach's the closest to a professional audio tech that I'm familiar with, but other than that, I mean, I wish I had better skill with videography. It has more to do with the excitement of it. What inspired you to even join YouTube? If it wasn't for wild analytics and fame and money and all of those things, what inspired you?
Well, I think the thing that really inspired me was one day I was actually just scrolling through and saw this thing called Zach, what was the name of the one where the figure the one where we
Pose Wars?
Pose Wars, thank you.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Pose Wars. I was flipping through and I saw several weeks of that. I said, I've got some figures. I wonder if I can maybe see if they'll let me join the show and do some poses. And so I contacted Zach and he said, yeah, do you have an actual whole figure with all of its parts to it? I said, yeah. He said, okay, well, why don't you pick this and the backup and this, that, and the other and come in and join us. But he kind of vetted me. And then afterwards, I came on there with my little goofy stories and stuff. And he's like, hey, you ought to come up with a YouTube channel. And so I, of course, it probably a year from then was when I actually made one. And now I'm starting to, just think about, what sort of things do I want to say in the space? I mean, it would be wonderful. as Zach said, if I started making some money, I don't really need an income because I'm retired, but having a little bit of that, a little chicken scratch in the background, certainly doesn't hurt things. So I think it would be lovely if it happened, but I know that if I wanted to make something like that happen, I'd have to be the one to put in the effort to make it happen. But just like there are plenty of creators who actually do this for a living. But kind of back to your original thing, I don't think it doesn't mean that they're not real collectors or that they don't enjoy it or that they're just in it for the money. I think sometimes if you there are some people that may be the case, but I think for the most part, if you find something that you love and you're able to do it and make money off of it, what's the crime in that? So I don't think that it's mutually exclusive that you're either in it for the money or you're in it for the hobby. Sometimes people can find a nice blending of the both, and if you make it work and it works for you, I'm 100% behind you.
Oh yeah, dude. Well said, Classy. Let's guys move on. Thanks for letting me share. Hopefully you guys got some cool insight into, again, the behind the curtains, what it looks like on YouTube analytics. Maybe it motivated you, maybe it didn't. I'm not too sure how everybody will feel about it, but I thought it was fun to share it because I was always really curious about that side. What I wish for, what I really hope for, and I don't think it's going to happen. It's like, why can't we all just, get along? Obviously, it's not going to be the case. YouTube is a highly competitive space. I got out of bed at 2:00 in the morning last week to make a Wolverine video because I thought maybe I had an opportunity to get it out there first. Did other channels get more views? 100%. But it was still fun. I still enjoyed it. I still laughed about it because I was still talking about something tired that I was more excited about than going to bed and thinking about painting the next morning. And so what I hope for is that we slowly continue to develop the community, because I do think that there is one. I don't think that that's a buzzword. What I do think is that there are certain groups within a community, just like every community that exists in the world. And it's how we treat each other at the end of the day that will make the difference. And if somebody hits 100,000 subscribers or 500, it doesn't matter. D-Lo the Collector. D-Lo, I meant to mention earlier, freaking love that guy. Great channel, part of the Wolfpack Wednesdays. That guy puts time and effort into his content. He just hit 500 subscribers. I was more excited for him than I was for 10K because I'm like, that first 1,000 takes effort. It's a grind. Once the analytics start working for you, it gets easier. That first 500 to 1,000 is hard. So if there's anybody out there that doesn't recognize this at this point, the currency of YouTube is subscribing, liking, commenting. Just help these creators get a little engagement. Help them get their names out there, and we can all maybe be successful at some point. If everybody's special, nobody is, but it doesn't really matter because none of us, or most of us, won't actually be famous from this one day. It's really just about talking about some cool shit every week. So guys, I love you for sticking around for that big first hour here. I've got one more piece of housekeeping that I want to do before I say hi to everybody in the chat. And I shouldn't call it housekeeping because for me, it was actually a little heartbreaking. This past week, we lost an absolute legendary actor, that being, of course, Donald Sutherland. Born in 1935, which is wild. Lived to 2024, so that made him 88 years old, of course. The father of Kiefer Sutherland, one of my favorite actors from kind of the past as well. I loved 24 for what it was and all that, but Donald himself was always an amazing actor, really unique look to him, as well as some really interesting roles. And I was actually a little bit inspired by this person because I just turned 37, and I talked about last week how I feel kind of old all the time lately. I feel like, oh man, I'm getting over the hill, and I know that's not old. I get it. I know I have friends watching me right now who are older than me. I totally get that. But you start to feel like, okay, what am I doing? What's my purpose? And Donald here really, truly didn't get successful in acting until he was about 31 years old. So I made a really quick 1-minute clip of him. Stick around for it. because I wanted to give him a really, really quick video tribute, just to say thank you for his time, and of course, rest in peace. Here you go.
I once said that if I wasn't successful by the time I was 30, I would stop. And when I was 30, I said, well, 31. And it went on.
Anyone could see the game was over by that point. In fact, I was just about to issue an official surrender when they released those parachutes.
About 32, somebody gave me the dirty dozen, and I've just been very fortunate and lucky.
At 12:34 p.m., the entire telephone system went out in Washington.
Sound like a bunch of coincidences to you, Mr. Harrison? Not for one moment. I never ever had another job. Every single one of them has been a big deal for me. If I had another job, I'd quit.
I gotta go. You're not going for another 10 years, are you? Tell me something. Do you love me? Do you really love me?
So rest in peace, Donald Sutherland. Really, really sad to see him, of course, pass on. Any of you guys have any specific experiences, any films of his that you loved, or any kind of memories at all? If not, no problem. I know he's not for everybody, of course, as well, but anything that stands out to you guys?
Yeah, for me, I had completely forgotten that he was in Ordinary People. And that was a movie that really touched me. I mean, Timothy Hutton won an Academy Award for that. And that was just about a family in crisis. And but it was just an amazing performances all the way around. And then, of course, I saw that what we did the thing where we go, ooh, from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Every time I see that, that is just classic. But yeah, Donald Sutherland, he was amazing. He will be missed.
Definitely.
Yeah, he will be missed.
Definitely. 12-inch Moose Stream says, with his super chat of 5 months, says, I refuse to die till I own everything. 50 years at least. I love to see it, buddy. What about you, Calvin?
Time to Kill, when he played Lucian, the drunken professor for Matthew McConaughey's role. He killed that. I always remember him being General McClintock in Outbreak, and he was such an asshole with Morgan Freeman, but they had to call him out on that one. So no, this man has several roles that touched me over the years, and honestly, I don't know how I never tied one and one together to make two that he was Kiefer's father. I don't know how I never put those two together until I saw the letter the other day where he put it out about his dad passing. I was like, oh my God, how did I not know that? So yeah, I'll definitely throughout this next week, I'll be going back through some of his old films and revisiting.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Anybody else want to say anything before we move on? Good?
Just going to say, he's just an incredible character actor, right? I couldn't even necessarily, identify one role that stuck out, but he just feels like he's been in everything, right? So, R.I.P. in peace.
Absolutely. Well said, boys. And again, rest in peace, Mr. Donald Sutherland. Thank you for your contribution in life. Guys, let's move on. We got a lot of 6-scale news that I want to get into, but we've got 40 people plus kind of watching us right now. So let's make sure we say hi to everybody, of course. That's definitely not the one. Here we go.
Is that everyone? What do you want it more?
Nuts!
Assemble.
That's assemble. We've got Sith Scale Collector here with us, one of our channel members. What's up, Collectors? Good to see you, buddy. We've got Noble Young in the chat with us as well. great to see you here. We got PCR Pop Culture Relics, and now a channel member as well. Good to see you. We got Valkyrie Magnus here. Woohoo! It's time for that time of the week to get nuts. Let's go. Apologize, butchered the shit out of that. We got Action Figure Academy with us. Hello, Benjamin. Good to see you. JB in the chat with us. Hey, buddy, what's going on? He says, only here for salty nuts. I hate to see it. I showered before the show, so we got Rogue One Photography in the chat with us as well. Rogue One, let me know. What was your previous screen name before this? Because I think it's the _Empire Strikes, but please let me know if you don't mind. We got Noble Young in the chat with us as well. We've got Mark P in the chat with us. We got Thrawn's Office in the chat with us. It's nuttin' time. You'll love to see it. We got Adrian Cervantes in the chat. One of our channel members says, it feels you haven't streamed in a month. It's been 2 weeks, so it has been a little bit, but I was in a fishing boat last week, so I apologize. I was getting nuts in the boat, but not necessarily on dry land with a webcam. We got the movie canon here, Mr. Geo himself. Hello, Nut Crew. Good to see you, buddy. Let's see here. I want to make sure we don't miss anybody. We got Christopher in the chat with us. Forgot to put me in 6 scale alpha. Hate to see it. I don't know what that is, but I apologize for not getting you in there. We got Jose G. Hernandez in the chat. Hello, everyone. Out and about, so I catch the replay. Have a great show, fellas. Good to see you, buddy. I also hope you're having a great day. We got Shiny in the chat with us. It says 10K people want to get nuts. You'll love to see that. Let's see here. Movie Canon got on. We got Cylon in the chat with us. Hey, everybody. Good to see you. We got Tijuana Mike, a.k.a. King Churro. Happy Sunday, everyone. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping in. We got the newly famous Brick Artemis here in the chat with us. 10K, let's go. Congratulations. Thanks, buddy. Congratulations on 15 too. I hope to see you with one of those 100K plaques at some point. I think that'd be kind of cool. We got 12-inch Moose Stream in the chat with us as well. He says, hello, community of collectors. Congrats to me. Thank you on the milestone. How soon before we can bust your nuts again? Jesus. Hopefully next year. We'll see how it goes, though. I've started wearing chastity belts, so I'm a bit more of a challenge. We got Eclectic Collector in the chat. What's up, everybody? Let's see here, guys. I want to make it quick. We got Christian Lopez in the chat with us. What's up? I'm going to Six Flags tomorrow. Man, I was in Ontario recently. I really miss Canada's Wonderland. And I also really want to go back to Cedar Point at some point as well. Cedar Point, one of the coolest roller coaster ride parks in the world, in my opinion. Music and collectibles. He says, hello all. Good to see you, buddy. We got Badfish himself here in the chat with a heyo. Good to see you. We got Loco Lou in the chat with us with a what's poppin', people? Or I at least assume so. But Lou says here, ladies with short attention spans, 100%. Oh, there it is. There it is. You love to see it. And he also supports the show. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. I do forget to ask, if you guys don't mind hitting the like button, that definitely helps the analytics of the show for the week. I always forget to ask. Please do so if you don't mind. Presumptive there slightly. But Pop Culture Living Room here with us in the chat as well. He says, yo, good to see you, buddy. I hope you and your sock puppet are doing well. I can't remember his name right off the top. Randolph. No, Rudolph? Randall. My apologies, Randall.
You'll find out soon enough.
He's going to haunt my dreams.
See in a bit.
You hate to see it. Dave's Man Cave IRL in real life says, hey guys, have to catch up later. Have to go to work. Have a great show. Thanks for sticking through, buddy. I appreciate you. Hope you're enjoying the show on the other side. We got Mr. Danny Spotchka in the chat with us saying, watching while getting ink. That is badass, actually. I don't have any tattoos, and people say that it looks like I should, but it's Randall is actually in the chat. He says, I do YouTube for the hookers and the blow. There's not that much of that from what I've seen, but I could be in the wrong camp. Maybe it's a Canada thing. We got Philip the Fool in the chat. Afternoon Collectors, congrats on 10K. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you. Let's see here, guys. I think I've almost got everybody. We got Thalia Meyer in the chat with us. It's Randall. Hi, Randall. Everybody loves Randall. Who doesn't, let's be honest. And we got Collecting Weekly, of course, with us in the panel and on the chat. Philip sent you a message on Facebook. He's not talking to us, guys. You hate to see it. He's here for the other crew. Apparently though, Phil, I've heard that you didn't spear the beer on the rug. So it could be a rumor at this point, but it's been resolved. Valkyrie Magnus, I can't remember if I said hi, so I'll say hi to you as well. And I think I saw one super chat come through as well that I don't know if I addressed. Yes, Brick Artemis says, Ben Thomas 10K is nuts. Congrats. Thank you, good sir. I appreciate you. And for the $4.99, I also appreciate that. Let's give you a thank you as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. So really quickly, just so you guys are aware, if you're interested, and I'll put the link in the comments, this is our channel membership emojis. I wanted to highlight this because Dean did give us an Adventure Time one last week that I hadn't added yet. So this is now in your emojis if you want to get an Adventure Nut in the chat there. Any of the members can absolutely do so. Our membership badges, you can see that beside everybody's names right now. Most people are Live Long and Nut at this point, so I'm excited to see some Terminatters out there in the upcoming future. And then, of course, we have all of our channel members. I will read everybody's name at the end of the show because we're getting a little long here, guys, and I do want to get into 6-scale news. So, with all that being said, Jazz Inc. has been working on a Catwoman, and I know we've talked about this over the last couple weeks, a couple times, but we are now getting an opportunity to see some of the process, and I think that is really fun because he shares a lot of his process with the community, and this is a picture of him with the Catwoman head sculpt up, where he's actually giving some critical takes, it looks like, on it with regards to the sculptor herself. So I think that this is pretty awesome. I think it definitely looks like Michelle Pfeiffer. These types of sneak peeks, though, get me pretty excited and do make me want to support the company a little bit more. Marco, are you putting your dollars in with Jazz Inc. for a Catwoman, or are you still looking at some of the other versions, or maybe not at all? Is it a character not for you?
Yeah, so this is another one I would say on par with Mars Toys Riddler, where I don't think Hot Toys is going to do it anytime soon. But I do think if they decide to tackle it, then this figure that Jazz Inc.'s putting out and that Mars Toys version then become the weaker versions. I just think Hot Toys, has so many superior production methods that they could just make a better version, probably a better likeness, better materials. All that being said, I think it's great to have the competition. I think that I'm excited for Jazz Inc. I want them to do well. I'm not rooting against them. I think it's just a really uphill battle for them. So, we talked a lot about all the things they have going against them, their messaging that they're really kind of all over the place with already. So they just need to come out swinging. And if it's anything less than, close to Hot Toys standard or above, it's going to be a letdown. So not one that I'm going after, but I'm really hoping that they pull this off, and I hope that everyone that has it on order is going to be satisfied, which this is a tough community to satisfy, right? So it's just a really, really high bar they're going to have to hit.
Absolutely. Would you have been more satisfied if they'd started with like an unmasked sculpt with the hair instead? Because they've said if they get the buy-in, they might consider that.
Perhaps, honestly. It just, I would have to see what the final prototype looks like. Everything that I've seen intrigues me. It's just... Again, I'm nervous for them. I'm very, very nervous about the figure they've chosen to start with. Obviously, they did that Iron Scavenger before, but I think this one, it's going to be really tough to pull off. But hope that they do it. And everything that I'm seeing here looks great. Like, it does look really nice.
Definitely, Calvin, you're one of the biggest Batman collectors that I'm familiar with. I would assume you definitely at least have one of these on the way, but are you supporting all the companies as well for this one? Are you thinking more you're going to stick to kind of one and done? What are your thoughts, buddy?
As of now, I'm all in with Jazz Inc. I'm a fan, for anybody that knows the song. I'm all in. So unless somebody does something better, I'll cross that bridge at that point in time, but as of now, this is where I'm at.
Hell yeah, dude. Fair enough. And I mean, honestly, it's hard. So many collectors say they need two or they need multiple. I hear that a lot in the community, but oftentimes space is a thing. Dollars are a thing. There's a lot of cool shit that's coming. So unless you need multiple looks, I think the one is probably going to be what I do even as well, 100%. Marco, I know you got to get on your way out for dinner with Gigi there, so thanks for popping in and giving us some takes on YouTube and your kind of experience with that. Anything coming up for you on 166 we can look forward to, buddy?
We're just trying to do one episode of She Said No every month, so look for that, and then maybe a Bargain Bin Bros sometime in the near future, but yeah, probably pretty limited in terms of the number of shows we do, but I want to focus on quality and maybe not as much quantity. So yeah, look for that. Ben, thanks for having me. Sorry to kind of stream and run here, but yeah, congratulations on the milestone, and I hope you have a good rest of your weekend.
You too, buddy. And give Gigi a squeeze for me. She said on your stream last week we're besties. It was really nice to hear. Love to see it. So
okay, I don't know if I'll give her a squeeze for you, but I'll give her a hug for sure.
Look, a hug. Yeah.
Where's the squeeze at? Nasty.
Holy shit, man! Wow.
Nasty.
Jesus.
This guy.
That got personal.
A little too much, man.
At least he didn't say
I'm in
give
hot
me some
water
nuts
now.
for me.
That's right, exactly. Then
That would be
Oh,
over.
man.
You hate to see it. Love you, buddy.
all right,
Good to
y'all.
see you, man.
Love you
Thanks for
too,
popping
bro.
in.
Have a great
See
rest
you,
of your weekend.
Marco.
Absolutely. Classy Thomas, do you have your sights set on a Catwoman now that you've seen a little bit more from Jazz, maybe a little bit more from Mars? Are there any that are coming to your collection? Or are you staying away from this?
No, I absolutely plan to get this Catwoman. I think that I have probably made it clear on most streams when people ask about Catwoman that I am a Catwoman fanatic. I'm not a fan, I'm a fanatic. Give me all the Catwomen. I love Catwoman. As a matter of fact, I would probably say that I think that they should change Batman to calling it Catwoman and let Catwoman be the star, and Batman can show up every once in a while. I will be happy because I love Catwoman. But yeah, I'm really feeling this Jazz Inc. one. They are. I have the Iron Scavenger, but I really do like what I've been seeing with them, and I think they're going to pump out a really, really great product that they can be proud of, and I'm for sure going to be proud of it. So yeah, I'm coming for you, Catwoman.
Oh, yeah.
And when I get you, I'm gonna give you a big squeeze for
Oh shit.
That'll be just for Ben. I'm gonna give you a big squeeze.
Zach, of all of us, maybe not include Calvin, because I'm not sure your experience, but Zach, you've had an opportunity to connect with Yost a couple times from Jazz Inc. He was part of our awards show on Collecting Weekly last year. He was gracious enough to even make a little thank you video for that. Took his time to do that, which I thought was really kind of him. What's your experience been like dealing with Yost kind of behind the scenes? And what's your kind of faith level that he'll be able to execute this figure as excited as he is? What do you think the execution can look like on his side?
I do like Yost. I think he's a great guy. He was one of our first ever interviews when we first started years ago. And I've seen him grow from someone making like really small batches to expanding into DC, getting formally licensed, getting into figures with the Iron Scavenger, and now this. I do think, I feel like this project, and I feel like it's something I've noticed with a lot of his projects, but I think sometimes he does get stuck in like feature creep, and while I do understand part of his main selling point to it is that he is a community focused creator, and he does solicit feedback and he does try to make as many changes as possible. I do think at some point you do have to start pulling the trigger and start making some decisions. And even with this figure, which technically I don't believe we've even seen a full finished product, I don't believe. I know he's starting to make some polls on his group as to, I know we solicited it this way, but would people want less head sculpts with more with rotating eyes? Would people want this feature, this feature? And so I think he's kind of going about some of the development a bit backwards, where I think in this day and age, moving eye sculpts are no longer really seen as like only for the most expensive figures or like the most highest end customs. I think things like moving eyes are really just the standard now. On our show on Tuesday, I think there was like 2 or 3 figures that were third party from much smaller companies that had rotating eyes incorporated from the get-go. And so I think he can pull it off. I think it is ambitious what he's trying to do with the real metal claws, the multiple portraits, the swap out bird/tongue. I think at some point, he's got to decide really what he wants to do, because with his production schedule, like the way I think this will plan out is, while he's working on taking community feedback, I think there is going to be a number of collectors that will see an eventual Mars Toys or an eventual third party that may come out that will be cheaper, obviously won't be licensed, maybe a little worse, but it'll be in hand much faster. And I think that's the biggest thing that he's going to have to fight against. Even with the Batmobile that he's announced, there's already he's also announced the Batman figures to go with it. There is already the S-Hero versions of those characters that are coming out. There's obviously the Mondo ones that have come out. And I've seen a number of collectors that were going to buy the 1/6 scale, but with McFarlane putting out their 12th scale, which I think it's only like $50 or $60 or $100, they've decided that they're going to just purchase that instead of spending the $1,500 for the 1/6 scale version. So I think he can do it. I think it is a very ambitious project, especially his first sculpt. But he's got some really good, talented people that he's working with for the paint protos, the sculpting protos. He's also got a lot of feedback in regards to this sculpt. But I think like inart, I think he's just got to decide a point where it's good enough, and you have to push forward. And sure, there will be some people that will be unhappy with some of their feedback not being taken into account. But I think he's got to decide pretty soon what he wants to do with these sculpts, whether he wants to add the rotating eyes or invest in making them movable. But I think it looks good. I think everything that I've seen so far looks really good. There was some people that have already made this character in the past as very small batch customs. A tailor that was, it didn't seem at first that she wanted help, but I've heard her kind of chiming in on his group some fairly helpful comments. So I think he's got sort of like the Avengers team to make this happen. I think it's all about him making the executive decisions as to what he wants and what people are going to get, and then the community either purchasing it or not, getting it or not.
Get it or not. Get it or not.
So, or this or that. So yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. I think it is a big jump for his company to go from vehicles to figures, and obviously he's announced this one and then the Batman. So it's going to be neat to see. I think it's great that some of these smaller companies are making figures. Obviously, like Sylvester Stallone's making his own figures now. Jazzik's making their own figures now. I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on these first-party companies. Well, Yoast is licensed, but it's going to put a lot of pressure on these companies to continue up in the game, and I think that's a win for all of us, to be honest.
Hell yeah, dude. No, I totally agree. Good point about inart too. I think the big difference for me when I look at Jazzik versus inart kind of putting their toe in the pool 4/6 scale is that, inart is already backed by Queen Studios, but they gave themselves a different name on purpose for their 6 scale line. So if they failed, they could close the doors technically in inart and still, I think, be effective as a Queen Studios statue company. Whereas Jazzik is still putting Jazzik on the box when it comes to this figure. I'm confident of it. So if this fails, it will hurt his business more, I think, than it would hurt Queen Studios with inart failing. I think there's more riding on the line for him. So even just that alone gives me a little bit more confidence that he'll execute it. But yeah, no, great thoughts there, guys. Let's move on. I want to blast through these next two a little bit because I want to talk a little bit about inart and Aragorn, but also some recent news that J&D had just posted, and I'll be curious to get your first takes on that, boys. This popped up this week from Toys Battalion, and this is, of course, the Pink Nina, or Pink Ninja, it looks like. Classy's lying already. Hate to see it. The Pink Ninja, notoriously Kimberly from Power Rangers. And you know what? It's the right Ranger if you're going to go Toys Battalion. I liked this iteration of the character. I think she looks more like the actress in this particular sculpt than the Tommy did, the White Ranger in a similar outfit. This is traditionally from the Power Rangers movie with Ivan Ooze, and they're out in the forest and they have to get their powers back, and so they're wearing these outfits. I think it's a cool look, not something that I plan to pick up, but I thought worthy of mentioning that it exists out there, mostly for the folks who watch either live or after the show. Maybe you don't know that this is available to you. But this also had popped up this week, the Thunder Toys version of the Looney Bride. Now, Zach and I had a chance to talk about this a little bit on Collecting Weekly. I do not see the likeness to Margot Robbie here at all, unfortunately. And I think it highlights, though, that there is a hole or a desire for collectors to get this in their collections. Clearly, when you look at the photos of this, it still is obviously the Suicide Squad. You get what they're going for. I think it's a little wild that they added the King Shark and the Hot Toys version in next to some of the third-party options, because like they honestly look really good, and I don't see it in the Harley. Polka Dot Man, I don't think it's too bad if you put his goggles on. And I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of these to begin with. But are you guys picking up any of these figures, at least with regards to the Harley, or trying to fill out a Suicide Squad? Or you guys are like, nah, it's good, it's good.
Well, I have Polka Dot Man and the I have the two on the left. I did not get a Peacemaker. That wasn't really my favorite character. However, if I find a good deal on one, I may pick one up. I like the King Shark. I did not purchase him. I actually canceled my order, but again, if I find him at a good price, I'll pick him up. But that Harley is not really a great Harley. The only thing that I could see making it redeemable, maybe a little bit redeemable, would be if you kept the body and did a head swap. Unfortunately, she doesn't have any of her tattoos because of the silicone body, so that kind of takes away from it a little bit also. But yeah, this is not. This one is, she's not close enough to the real actress to make it appealing to me.
Totally makes sense. Totally.
I'm not going to give her a big squeeze.
Yeah, well, that's right. Don't give her a big squeeze. Shiny says here, does she have tattoos? She has some. She's got one on her chest there. It looks like, and some under her leg. I do think that even in the film, they actually removed some of her facial tattoos, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I think that's why it's a little bit scaled back. But hey, there are folks out there who are going to get this. I think it's exciting. Again, maybe you didn't know this news has popped up. So here it is for you. Red Dress Harley, or the Looney Bride. I actually like that third-party name, though. I'm not going to lie. There's some pretty bad ones that exist. So now, I did want to highlight a couple things here. I got sent some photographs from 6 Scale Mafia. Anthony, our buddy there. That's an amazing ringtone, by the way. That's amazing. Classy Thomas. I wanted to highlight these photos from 6 Scale Mafia or Anthony because I talk a lot about Exo 6, kind of anytime there's a release from them. And oftentimes I complain about the figure photography, especially in the solicitation images that we get. And some are done by other blogger photo folks out there. Some photos are done by Anthony at 6 Scale. But he shared with me that, they don't necessarily take every image that he supplies them. And so he wanted to give me a couple of these before we talk about Picard. And so, of course, we're seeing Geordie LaForge. Awesome looking photo. We got the cast photo of Star Trek Voyager here. I thought this was a cool one because I'm notoriously very hard on Exo 6, especially for their Voyager line. They look a little on the waxy side to me. But I do think he's done a good job both through the photography and the poses here to bring this kind of cast of characters together. I really like seeing Harry Kim with his arms folded, kind of leaning up against Tom Paris there. Great photo, dude, for sure. And then this photo to share because Picard came out for pre-order this week. And this is a photo that we got from Anthony. I think this dials in kind of the likeness of Jean-Luc Picard a little bit better than the solicitation images that we got from them. So to highlight, Classy, I can't remember, you're not a huge Trek guy, is that correct?
I like the original Star Trek. I don't really follow all the current ones, but this is
like the original series, like the Kirk and Spock
exactly,
days?
Yeah. But this is not bad. Yeah, this is not bad.
Not bad. I do think that they've got their their B team on it a little bit.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Now, I was wondering about the Geordie LaForge. Does he just have the glowing eyes, or does he also come with a visor? That's the one I really like.
Well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he definitely comes with the visor as well. And I'm waiting on that figure. Once I get him in hand, I'll do maybe an unboxing for it because they're very excited about that. Now, Classy, so you're aware Picard did come with 3 different SKUs this time. I've done a video breakdown on the Ben Thomas Show, so I won't go into it too much in detail, but just in case you missed it and you're interested, Picard here does come with the duty uniform version, the Darmok version, which is very specific to a specific episode, and then the kind of, I want to call it the party edition, which comes with two of the different uniform looks. It does not come with two bodies. I found that out after I made the video, so I was a little bit upset about that, because there is no way I'm going to undress my Picard and redress him in the other outfit. I'm just going to source another body so that I can swap them. There's no chance.
That would be the safest thing, is just to get a second body, dress it, and then that way you can just pop the head off from one to another.
Clinton Martin says I said duty. I said duty uniform. It must be the Canadian accent.
It sounded like duty to me too. So
that's amazing. I love that. He does come with some really cool stuff though. So he comes with the Picard Day banner. He does come with like kind of this relic arc thing that's for fertility. He also comes with a flute, which is very specific to an episode called Inner Light. All of these are great. If it were my pick, I'm going to do the deluxe version here, which is called standard in terms of Exo 6. So the standard version is actually their deluxe, and the essential is technically their standard. So I know that's confusing, but don't mix it up if you're planning on ordering these guys. I get mine typically through Sideshow if I'm since I'm in Canada. So anybody who's a Canadian viewer, at least you know where to find them. However, just so you're aware, the wait time is significantly longer through Sideshow usually than what they quote in terms of delivery timelines from Exo 6 itself. Now, Zach, I know you're not a huge Star Trek guy, but seeing all the years of me now talking about Trek figures, have you seen much of an evolution in Exo 6 here, or are you seeing kind of the same thing, being maybe not necessarily a huge fan?
So I saw this photo, or the photo of Geordi posted, Nanjim, or I think it was on the Exo group. No, it was on Let Your Geek Site show, but someone was saying like that the Exo figures come out better than the prototypes, and they were saying like, so that means that Exo 6 is a better company than Hot Toys and Inart. I don't know that that's true. It seemed very like opinionated, and obviously these are the best Star Trek 1/6 scale figures ever made. There's no doubt about that, but I think to say that blanket statement that they're all better than the proto is kind of silly. I do know that the line, because I'm friends with Nanjim on Facebook. I've never talked to him more than just once or twice for clarification for stuff for the show, but I know that he's always said that the line has a finite time, and so once that time is done, he's done. And I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about Exo 6, to be honest, because there's things that he's posted that don't make a lot of sense to me. He's had like constant things where he's like, oh, we have actually negative inventory, we oversold, and I just don't understand how that happens or continues to happen, and just a number of things like that. But I think the figures are cool. I wish I liked let me rephrase, I like Star Trek. I think Star Trek is fucking awesome. However, it's as last I checked, it's very difficult to stream without commercials, and the shows themselves are already long. And so to be able to watch them commercial free is great. I used to try to watch them on Tubi a few years ago when they were back on Tubi, but getting 4 5-minute ad breaks in like a 45 to an hour long show is just insane. And so it really killed my watching of the show. But I think I got through some of the first season. I enjoyed it. There was characters I loved, characters I didn't love. Jean-Luc Picard, one of my favorite characters. Data was cool as well. There's some good moments in that show. So I'm not interested in the Star Trek figures because a lot of them I don't either haven't gotten to their characters or have very small experiences with them. But I do like the show. In fact, because I couldn't watch Star Trek, I started watching the Orville as like a sort of
great show.
Which I thought it was going to be a terrible show or like kind of like a silly show. It ended up being like one of the best shows I've ever seen in my entire life. That show is amazing. Because I don't really like Seth MacFarlane, but that show, 10 out of 10. So, I do want to watch, like one day if I had the Blu-ray or ability to watch it without too much distraction, I would love to watch it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about Exo 6, to be honest. They make good stuff, but then they make some weird decisions, and Nanjim is very opinionated and very, very much where Inart and Jazz are like too accepting of fan feedback. I think Nanjim is like the complete 180 where he really doesn't give a fuck what most people say. I do know credit where credit's due. I think they did just get rid of a whole batch of Spock figures. There was some issue. He never really clarified what it was, but they ended up pulverizing all the finished product and basically having to go back to remake it. So I don't know that you'd have a lot of companies that would do that, but I thought that was interesting to see.
Well, and maybe Ninja could have a bit more of an opinion because he also corners the market when it comes to Star Trek, right? It's a license that nobody else is tackling at the moment. And so he has deadlines, he has things he's got to get out the door, different places he's got to report to, and nobody else is making them. QMX was great, and they actually had a wonderful Jean-Luc Picard likeness back in the day on their figure, and he kind of made his way over from QMX, right? So I think it's interesting how many collectors want Trek in their collections and how few places there are to actually buy anything for it. Calvin, I can't remember, are you a Trek guy at all or not at all? I can't remember, buddy.
I am not. I watched it as a kid with my parents, but at this day and age, I'm into so many IPs. I'm glad that there's one I can say I don't have to buy something from.
Hell yeah. Well, I will say the Trek videos do get some of my most engagement in terms of comments. The folks who do collect, live long and prosper. Thank you for always engaging with me on those videos, because I love talking Trek and I like hearing about what you guys think of the figure itself, for sure. I see 12-inch Moose Stream out there saying he's getting both Picards. Love to see it, buddy. But let's move on, because we did get an update from J&D Studios this week, and it's an interesting update because I think that there's been a lot of community members talking about the outrageous price point of J&D, stepping into the 1/6 scale community. You guys know, I've talked about it. I got the pre-order in right now with 1/6 kit for the J&D Joker, because for me, the Heath Ledger Joker is my favorite character of all time. He would be the one that if I was going to spend the big bucks on to get the most realistic version, he'd probably be the character. Having said that, even I'm starting to get a little bit worried, because while the price point is outrageous and I think I've wasted my money, I also don't think that there'll ever be return value really for that. I don't think that they're going to make very many, and I'm not even totally confident this company is going to survive 1/6 scale collecting. But then we saw other characters coming out, like Bruce Wayne recently, which was like coming in, I think, at $1,800 if I'm not mistaken. Zach, you could maybe correct me on that. But they had switched it from the sculpted
like
hair to now rooted hair. But yeah, like a wild price point. And again, just the feedback from the community is like a resounding nope, not going to happen. Every time we've talked about J&D and we've talked about like their pricing model and what characters they go after, this is the meme I think of.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
And so, like, I think it's too bold at this point. Now, they've given us an update here and says here basically along the lines that the next piece from Kojin Works, this is going to be the Philosopher's Stone version of Harry Potter, and all three main characters will be released. The Harry Potter series will be released to the three people each time, followed by Malfoy, Hagrid, and Snape next year. So they're planning on a pretty extensive Harry Potter line at this point. The Harry Potter series will be released by Kojin Works and Kojin Works Lite. The Kojin Works version, including the top of the line, the silicone skin that they've been making for these new recent ones that is so wildly expensive, living paint and hair foliage and nice styling. One of the Kojin Works versions is a very special version, and it's going to be limited to 200 versions worldwide, so very low count there. The Kojin Works version is aimed to complete the version of the Harry Potter series, which is hard to experience again. Kojin Works Lite, however, which is the newest update, which will be introduced for you for the first time, is the PVC version of, the PVC version prepared for many people who experience J&D. So essentially a plastic head sculpt, or PVC, as opposed to that expensive silicone. It'll be the best 1/6 action figures with the highest level of prototype, highest level of costumes and accessories applied to the same as Kojin Works. And so I thought this was interesting because a couple things here. I didn't honestly think within the collector community that Harry Potter was all that, I don't know what the word would be, like appealing for the most part. Most people that I've talked to, even just about the price point of the inart Harry Potter line, have said they're cool, but I'll pass. I don't necessarily need to spend $2,000 on Harry Potter figures. And that's now what J&D is going after next. And it seems like they've got the memo in terms of pricing, because instead of having only exclusively one version that has the silicone, they're now going to give us plastic and downgrade it slightly, I guess, if you can call it a downgrade. So Calvin, I was curious about you first, buddy. What are your thoughts on J&D giving us Harry Potter line now, in addition to what we're seeing from Inart? Kind of what the take is from the community so far, and do you think it's them kind of backtracking on the silicone, or what are your thoughts there, buddy?
I'm sure like that's a heavy price point, even for myself. Like clearly, you guys know I'm knee deep in 1/3 Prime ones. I damn near have every vehicle that Jazz Inc. has put out. So I dabble very heavily in the expensive realm. I've never even looked at J&D to purchase a piece. So, and I'm sure in the current economy that we're in, I'm sure there's several people scaling back from those high price points. So they've got to make an alternative somewhere. As far as Harry Potter, I still need to finish all the movies myself. I love the rides at both Universal parks, but I don't see that as necessarily somebody that would something that everybody would need to have representation on their shelves. I think most people are more so happy with just having wands and pieces like that, or cloaks for what school, Gryffindor, what are those called?
Yeah, they're houses, essentially.
The houses, So I think people are more. I think you can get away with those pieces as opposed to having a 1,800 piece on your counter or shelf.
Oh yeah, no, well said, well said. Zach, what are your thoughts, buddy? Do you feel like J&D's backtracking a little bit on their strategy with this whole silicone thing? Do you think they're realizing the numbers are just not there, or do you think this was always their plan? Like, what are your thoughts there, buddy?
I don't know that we need another high-end Harry Potter set, first and foremost. I also don't know that the next 3 characters that I would make would be Malfoy, Hagrid, and Snape. Maybe Malfoy, Hagrid, and Dumbledore might be better. Snape's kind of an asshole, even though he does have some redemption. Though. Well, yeah, but I mean, if you're going iconic actors, I mean, I don't know that that's. Anyways, I think it's interesting they're doing a PVC version. Typically, I don't know. They're setting high expectations, and I think high expectations are kind of what has been a thorn in Inart's side, right? So to come out and say this will be the best 1/6 action figure, the best level of prototype, the highest level of costume, the final will be cooler than a prototype. I don't know what that means, but I don't know. I don't know if PVC is what the Hot Toys sculpts are made out of. I thought they were made out of like a sort of rubber type resin, but if that is what they're made out of, then it's essentially a Hot Toys quality figure. I don't have a lot of confidence in silicone to begin with. I think my personal experience with TV League and Fison has not been particularly great. I've seen a lot of people have issues with other seamless things, so I think going PVC is probably better. Now, if these are cheap, like lower than Hot Toys prices, maybe I'd be interested, because I do want the 3 kids. Don't know that I want to spend $1,800 to get the Inart versions, but I would say I'm a decent fan. I wouldn't say a huge fan, but I'm like a fan of Harry Potter. So I would love to have a representation in my collection, even if it's just of Harry, but I don't know. It's interesting, but it seems odd to like kind of set this up like when they started the Kojin Works brand, it was like supposed to be the highest quality, the most realistic, and now almost immediately they're like, oh, well, actually we're doing a cheaper product for everyone now. So it's like, they show us silicone hair, then they show us real hair, then they show us expensive, now they want to show us cheap. So I don't know. I think they probably got kicked in the mouth a little bit. They probably weren't expecting the fan feedback, and now they're trying to scramble. But it's all over the place, right? You got Dark Knight, you got Harry Potter. I guess those are probably both Warner Brothers, I think. So maybe that's it. But I guess I just don't really understand the desire to make something that someone's already made, that's already made it pretty well in terms of the prototype. Yep. I don't know that if I'm a company trying to get my feet wet, that I'm going straight at Hot Toys for the Batman stuff and then turn around and go straight at Inart for the Harry Potter stuff. That's bold move cotton right there. Like, that's fucking crazy.
Absolutely.
And in terms of like, sure, we have our pick of litter as collectors, but I don't really know that we win with this. I feel like there's other licenses that don't get the love that J&D could have gone and made a Terminator or Alien figure that would have people have been asking for a long time, that companies seem to know what we want but haven't been able to produce. Predator even, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is a good idea, personally. But we'll see what the prices and the final approvals look like.
And I mean, you mentioned the win, right? And Pop Culture Relics is all about the lesser light line, but I'm out on the Harry Potter universe. Inart's got work cut out for them, as does J&D, and I think that's an interesting take on it, right? Because maybe the light version will end up being more affordable, which then does give collectors just once again another option to buy from, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. Having options to buy is a good thing. If they come in and it's still like a higher price point than something like Inart that's giving us rooting and all of those things, well, then I don't really see what the point was. And maybe I spoke at a turn, Zach, as well. I've always assumed that head sculpts from Hot Toys were PVC, plastic.
They're probably.
You might be right. I'm not too sure. So if I spoke at a turn there and anybody knows, let me know. But
no, I think you're right. I don't know what they are, but you're probably right. They're like a soft. They're not rubber,
plastic,
but they're like flexible.
They're soft plastic, yeah.
Yeah. PVC is probably what they are.
Classy, any thoughts on J&D just kind of creating this light line? It made me laugh that they spelled it as LITE. I don't know why, but it just sounded like...
Yeah.
What are your thoughts here, buddy?
I don't know. It seems like... to me, it seems like they're trying to capitalize off of the success of Hot Toys and the starting out success of Inart, and they're trying to latch onto it, but kind of jack their prices up so they kind of look like we are the Chanel of all things, while everybody else is Payless or Target. And I don't know that that's true, just because like I saw the little skull understructure that goes under the silicone, and I was like, it's kind of nice, but that's something we're never going to see. Yeah, so is it really necessary to say, yes, but we have a skeleton underneath it? Yeah, but you're charging us X amount more than I could get this exact same figure from Inart. And I would think that if they were going to do their very first figure of the Joker, they should release it and see what the feedback is, and then announce their own figure, which may be something that collectors have wanted, but nobody else is producing. That would set them apart, and then they could see, wow, is this really gonna move? Like, I would love to get a really good Ripley from Alien. And that might be something I might be willing to pay a good deal of money for, especially if it's realistic. So I don't know. I think that they're kind of going about this. I think I almost get the impression that J&D kind of takes the collectors of 1/6 to be suckers, and because it doesn't appear that they really are that open to feedback from the community, that we're just going to give you what we want to give you. And I'm like, yeah, but you think you can charge us anything for it and we're just going to go for it? And there may be some people that will, but sure. I think that I think they may find that the community is a little smarter than that, and that they may not go for it.
I agree in the sense of, like, there are folks out there in the world that want to have things that other people can't afford to have. I don't think that there's anything even wrong with that, right? Like, that's why companies like Ferrari exist and some of those other, luxury brands. I do see the challenge in what you're saying, though, in the sense of, like, we keep seeing the same characters. If we have something that's very, very comparable at the very least, why double my money or triple my money if I can put those dollars elsewhere? Even with their own self, the light version of these characters within their premium line, if it doesn't look that much different for the light version, why not get the cheaper version even from them then and have their own stock sit? So unless it's the folks that just want to have something that other people don't have, I don't think that totally makes sense. one of the things that I've kind of gathered, so it's an absolutely a guess. I don't have any specific information on this, but one of the things that I've gathered from all the times I've listened to John from Inart speak is that acquiring licenses is actually pretty challenging because they want to see how you can produce. They want to see what the quality of your items are, and there's certain licenses that are more available than others to allow you to throw your hat in the ring. And if you do well, okay, maybe we'll give you some of these others. But I don't think it's as easy as just saying, oh, like, well, why didn't they give us Terminator, or why didn't they give us something that, you know, other companies haven't got yet? Because they don't own those licenses to begin with.
That's
and
true.
so if those companies don't give them that permission, doesn't matter if they had the idea first, they got to go with what they got to go with. And I think that's a little annoying, but that's more on the overarching, you know, company like that owns the license rights to these properties that I have more of an issue with than J&D specifically. But at the same time, make them accessible, because like you said, do they think that collectors are dumb? Probably not. I think that they think that the majority of their market isn't in US or Canada or North America, but we all know that a lot of that audience is, and so like it seems to exclude some of those folks, and nobody likes to be excluded, whether or not it's a premium hobby or not. I mean, it is premium, but it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. So interesting thoughts, guys, interesting thoughts. Let's stick with the next one here, which is Hot Toys has given us Avatar Jake Sully from The Way of Water, and I think this is an interesting one because this is not the first time Hot Toys has actually given us Avatar figures. When I first got started in the hobby, I almost bought an Avatar figure before I realized just how like freaking large they actually are, and they're supposed to be. They're meant to be avatars for humans to ride around in, right? And they're of course like an actual species as well. Figure wise itself, I think the sculpt here on Jake Sully looks pretty darn good. I liked The Way of Water. But to me, unless you pair him with Neytiri, I don't think it necessarily is something that I would consider collecting. The downfall is that I wasn't happy with the prototype of Neytiri. So unless they improve that prototype, I have no desire to pick her up. In which case, I don't think that I'd pick up Jake Sully. I also really don't love jointed figures. Now, this is something where Zach and I really differ on, because I would sacrifice personally pose ability for a higher level of likeness for this figure in terms of seamless arms, seamless joints. So that would have been my preference, which is another huge deterrent for me from wanting this guy in the collection. But there's a huge market for Avatar, and I think James Cameron said something like they're planning like 5 movies still, which is wild. So I'm sure this isn't the only time we'll have an opportunity to buy Avatar figures, unless they just don't sell, and then maybe we will. So Zach, again, we differ on joints and seamless bodies and stuff quite often. Do you think that this would have sold better if it had seamless appendages, or do you think it has more to do with the character? Is this something you've considered for your collection?
I don't think it would have sold better. I would say about as many people that have said that they didn't buy it because it had joints. I've seen say that they only bought it because they knew it wouldn't, deteriorate rapidly. So, while I do think it is important to have as non-toyetic of a figure, if that's a word, as possible, at the end of the day, even just minor arm articulation is going to damage a seamless body. And since a lot of his accessories and poses in the film, from the trailer, I haven't seen the film, but from the trailers, are quite dynamic, unless you want to just have him in a museum pose, which even then doesn't guarantee that your figure won't deteriorate over time, which we've seen many Hot Toys seamless bodies where they have had their characters in a straight up and on arms pose and the shoulders are ripping or the elbows are ripping. I don't think that really guarantees anything, and I think at the end of the day, durability I think is very important. So I don't really think it had a lot to do with it. From what I've heard, this movie wasn't as good as the first one. Again, I haven't seen it. I haven't really had a huge desire to see it. But I don't think that this film had the pop culture phenomenon that the first one did, and I think that also does impact it. Yeah, I don't believe I ever really had that many issues with the Neytiri. So, but that's just me. Again, I'm not a huge fan of these characters. I think they're cool. I enjoyed the first film enough. But yeah, I think with this character, you have to be able to pose him, and even just like that simple leg up on the base, which it's designed to be, it's that would just destroy that seamless knee over time. So yeah, I don't personally mind the joints. Unfortunately, it's a character that's mostly naked, so it's kind of hard to hide. You know, it's not like some of the Interbay figures where you have joints, but you can put an arm sleeve or a knee sleeve to hide it. This character's got very little in the way of hiding that stuff. So, you know.
I love how Shiny says here, I like how he's got the jungle-covered clothing on, like it's going to camouflage his big blue ass.
It's like a 12-foot giant blue man on a... Well, I guess he's in the water in the second one, but...
Well, and so that's the interesting thing, is that I don't think that this is actually his likeness from Avatar 2. I think this is his likeness from Avatar 1. And I think at that point he still had some level of connection to his humanity, which is why he was still wearing things like ammo gear. Because from my recollection of the second film, he actually had his dreadlocks out a little bit more, and a little bit less like human-style clothing on, with the exception of when he went in kind of into battle with some of the humans. But they've given us kind of that watery base as well, if you got that version. So I think that's kind of interesting. I've got the Todd McFarlane versions of these, and to be honest, like that's enough for me. They're still pretty big figures, cool desk warmers, just as posable, if not more posable than these. Honestly, the joints look like they're at the exact same places. So if you don't have room for this in your 6-scale display, the McFarlane ones are good side pieces. Calvin, did you have any thoughts on Avatar here, the figures themselves? Is this something that you were even interested in collecting?
Wasn't interested in the figures. It's just I've had to get real creative with my spacing. I'm having to do a lot more vertical to get more stuff in, and I just ordered some more module cases. But as large as these are, they're not going to fit in my section of like my movie section. They're just going to be too big compared to the rest of the figures. So for that reason, I didn't order these. Now, Zach did say, like, didn't this movie hit like top 4 all-time box office with the first one in Endgame? Isn't this up there?
The second movie?
For you.
Aren't these up there? It was Titanic, the first one, the second one, and Endgame, right?
$2.32 billion.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. So culturally, this thing still killed it.
So it's the
I've
third
heard a lot of
highest
people
grossing
that said
film
that
of
they
all
didn't
time.
like it.
I did see it. I saw it once in theater when it came out. Yeah. Visually stunning. I felt like I was swimming with him in the water. That's how the visuals were. It was beautiful. I haven't revisited, because it is a 3-hour movie. I haven't revisited it, but it was dope from what I remember of it. Now it wasn't as good as the first one, but as far as box office, I know they killed it.
Yeah, $2.36 billion, third highest grossing film of all time, which is still pretty wild. And I'm shocked about it only because of how good the first Avatar film was, but it was one of those movies that, like, to me, didn't age well. It wasn't something like a Terminator or some of those other films that, like, I think people still talk about all the time. It's like when you say what's your favorite movies of all time, I can't think of a single person who's ever been like Avatar. And so it's wild that it did as well as it did. Yomo, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you here. Yeah, no, interesting thoughts there, boys. I think this is going to be one of those figures that potentially sits a little bit. Maybe people bought it and then may decide to change their minds. If there's any waitlist on this, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw it convert. I think this has some bargain bin contender built into it a little bit, because if they end up sitting, I can see people picking these up down the line. If there was a decent enough discount on it, I would definitely still consider putting it on the collection, because I like the movie and I did like Jake. But I think if I had to pick one or the other and maybe not pair them, I would still rather have Neytiri. She's the one that kind of... she's been one of my favorite characters even from the first Avatar film. I just didn't feel like they captured her CGI beauty in the head sculpt of the figure as much as it did in the film itself. But interesting thoughts there. Now, guys, let's move on here to the Droideka. So I know Star Wars fans out there say that this is said different ways. I've heard Droideka, and a bunch of other things. I don't know how it's said. Droideka is what I'm going to call it.
I don't know.
Destroyer
I've heard
droids.
this name as well, but I thought they were just called destroyers. Maybe I was totally wrong on that.
Interesting. I think one of my favorite parts of this is the transforming mode. I think that is really, really cool. It worries me a little bit in terms of Hot Toys engineering. I've definitely moved parts on my Iron Man figure, for example, my Mark 7 that converts into a pod mode. I've only ever done that one time, and I was horrified to ever do it again because I was worried I was going to rip it apart. And I've had things that I've like breathed on the way past and fall off a hot toy. So while I'm stoked about the fact that it converts, it does worry me like a little bit. But I think the fact that it does it is really cool. Price point on this does feel a little bit high, considering it doesn't have any lights on there or anything like that. Like, there's nothing really extra other than its ability to transform. Now, one thing that I didn't realize is when it's at full height, it's the same height as some of these other droids pitted beside it, which is wild. Because when I think of, for example, the Phantom Menace, which is, I think, the closest resemblance of this droid that I can remember, kind of when, that initial scene they roll up on Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn, I don't remember them being this tall, but, I mean, maybe they were, and I just didn't realize it as a kid. Either way, I do think it's pretty damn cool. I heard you mention there, Calvin, that you thought it was cool too. Is this one that you're putting in the display?
Not put it in the display, but they are sweet. I would love to get one, but again, because of size and spacing, I've got enough stuff coming in. So no, I would wait for this if maybe later down the road if I can get it in. But as of now, I'm not pre-ordering this.
No, that's fair. Always, size is definitely a factor for sure, but it's not the size, it's how you use it, right, Zach?
That's not what she said.
It's 3 inches in and out.
I've never heard that before, but hey.
I love to see it. Zach, what's your take on this, buddy? Is this something that you've been interested in? Were you surprised as well how tall this bad boy actually is?
I thought they were taller. I thought they were like 8 feet
tall.
They were
taller. Okay.
Yeah, in the movie, they seem fucking huge. I'm looking at the film, like the camera angle, and it's because they're in the foreground and the Jedis are like in the back, like by the door. That makes them look so big. So I thought they were actually quite a bit bigger. I do think that this needed to be a figure that had some effect pieces. In a perfect world, the full dome, right? Obviously that
100%.
would be fucking huge, but practically speaking would have probably been difficult. I do think something like a clear acrylic rod with maybe just a portion of the shield with a blaster bolt ricocheting off or something like that to show that there is some semblance of the energy shield there, I think would have been cool. Even just a part of the shield towards the edges, it seems to have like a bit more visibility. So, maybe just a quadrant of the globe would have been cool. But to not have anything is kind of crazy. To me, I think that shield is what made them so cool in the first film. It was like, holy shit, like, dude, the Jedi can't fucking touch these things for the most part.
Yeah.
So to not have the shield is not super great. I don't remember really seeing these that much in the second and third one. I don't know if they're even in them, but in the first movie, that was one of the things that I thought was the coolest thing about them. As far as the transformation goes, it seems like it's pretty simple. You just kind of crunch them together. So I don't know that it would be as involved as the Mark 7, where you're like taking entire chunks out of the figure to condense it. But this looks cool. Perhaps a missed opportunity for some LEDs for the little 3 lights on the face, but those are probably incredibly small, and maybe you could have done it with fiber optics, but I don't know. The price was pretty decent, so I can't complain too much. But I won't get this. But this is going to be huge for filling out that episode 1 line because these were everywhere. Have we gotten like a regular colored battle droid? Because I know we have the Geonosis one, but we haven't gotten just like the regular. They need to do that because until then, I think it's.
Which is this color here, right?
Yeah, that's the teaser. Okay, yeah.
This is a teaser, I think, yeah.
We need that for sure.
At least if it's not a teaser, it's kind of a dick move, honestly. It's like, well,
it kind of looks like a cockroach.
Out there,
it does a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, like from the back, don't you think it kind of resembles a cockroach?
I can see it. I like the way you say it.
Me too.
What?
Cockroach.
Cockroach. Oh, okay.
It would be cool as well with the battle droids if they did this, because I'm looking at the figure and the parts that are yellow for the commander. I'm wondering it would be cool if they can make that a swap out part for the top of the head, then the chest, to identify one as a commander if you wanted to army build them. I don't think they used the different color schemes in Geonosis, but for episode 1, I remember there were some that had like red and some that had yellow. So that would be cool too. But
hell yeah, dude. I think it's cool. It's not something I'm going to put in the collection. Full transparency. I think the price is a little bit on the high side. I think if it was lower in cost, it'd be something I'd consider if I had the space. I think as a part of a Star Wars collection, or even if a droid collection that you're seeking, I do think it is very, very well done. But I don't know. I think I'm willing to skip on it at this point. But Zach, I do want to stick with you here. We got 2 more subjects left before we're wrapping for the day. About 15 more minutes there. I want to take a look with you, Zach, at Aragorn here, because you're a much larger Lord of the Rings fan than I think I'll ever be, and you've now had the experience of having inart Gandalf in hand. These photos recently kind of circulated of Aragorn because, you know, the release is pending, or, you know, a lot of folks don't really even have this at all yet. I think there's probably about 3 people in the world at this point that have one at this point. Having said that, it's created a bit of a stir because there is that feeling of, is it downgraded? It kind of maybe looks downgraded. When I look at the photo of this actor anyways, I think traditionally, when I look back at the Asmus Toys one, for example, I think that they've always really had a hard time nailing his specific likeness, Vigo. But I also think that there's obviously a very different quality in the photos that we're seeing here. That first image on the left is a very high resolution photo. The one on the right is not so much. And I took just a quick screen grab of Lord of the Rings, and he's not even wearing exactly the same outfit, so it's certainly not one for one, but more in terms of likeness. When I see these 2 photos together, the likeness is a little bit lost for me. But when I see the original prototype in this photo, the likeness comes back a little bit. So I do think that there has been a subtle downgrade in the sculpt, or maybe it's the paint applications, maybe it's a bit of both. But ultimately, I definitely still think when I close my eyes that this looks like Aragorn on the left. So, Zach, take it away. What are your thoughts here on this pending worldwide release of this guy?
So when collectors finally get this in hand in 2030, I don't think there's going to be a lot to complain about. If you look at what's available, right, the high-end custom market, the Asmus version, you also have the large, I think it's the 3rd scale statue with the ghosts. This portrait is far and away significantly better than all of them. Viggo Mortensen has a very difficult portrait to capture. This is the best I've seen. While I do think there's probably some downgrade from the proto to the final, personally, I don't really think it's that bad. I've seen people kind of say this is like real terrible. I've seen some people throwing a fit that they were going to cancel because it was so bad. I don't know. Maybe, and admittedly, I don't really have the eye for this character like I do Gandalf. I've said this many times. That's really the only character that I really have deep dived in. But I think this looks fine. I think it's serviceable. This is far better than pieces that cost 6 times as much. And so for me, this is I think everything that we needed. And you know, I think lighting, camera, focal length, all that stuff will play a factor. And initially, like Dean mentioned on Tuesday, he had some issues with the portrait, but as soon as he pulled up actual screenshots of the films, he was like, yeah, this is actually pretty good. So I don't think it's bad. I think this is pretty close to what they offered. Yeah, I have no problem with it.
Absolutely. Dirk Diggler stunt double here in the chat. Wild picture. He says, were these used in the Bad Batch and Mando? I do think that they were. He's talking about the droideka. I do think they were in Mando from my recollection. One of the hallway scenes, I think they roll up on him a little bit. So, but yeah, I can't remember which one it was Disney-wise. Loki, and thanks, Zach, for your take on that, buddy. Loki, what are your thoughts here, buddy, on Aragorn? Is Lord of the Rings like a line you've even been diving into? I can't remember what you've said on some of the other characters.
It's not, but I'm with Zach. I don't see the issue or the uproar about this. I think it looks pretty good. I think once people get it in hand, they'll be happy with it. I can't think of anything that inart has released once people got it in hand that there was really a major issue. Everything that we've got released so far, I think it's been very solid.
Yeah.
But I still have yet to see the 3rd movie, and I know all the guys are mad at me for it, but They did me dirty by trying to watch
Return
that.
of the
They
King?
did me.
Oh my god.
Oh, I forgot who I'm talking.
Wow.
I'm talking to the Gandalf man himself. God damn it, I forgot who I'm talking to. My bad, Zach.
Wow. That's a
But
good movie. You gotta watch that
they
movie.
they did me dirty. They had me watch that 4 hour whatever version, and it just took me out of it. So I gotta get back
It's
to it. I
a
gotta
it's a
revisit it.
you're not wrong. It's a long movie. I do think that to me the definitive versions are the extended, but it is a huge time commitment. But it's so fucking good. Oh my
And I'm a
goodness.
movie guy, so I don't have a problem with lengthy movies, but that one just it dragged for days for me. I had to do it in sections. So I promised the guys I'm gonna watch the theatrical version to finish off the third. So I'll get to it.
Yeah.
I've told this story before, Calvin, but I'll mention it again briefly. I had a big crush in high school on this girl, and I don't think she liked me. I was very friend zoned with her by every sense of the word, but I had a crush on her anyways, and her favorite films were the Lord of the Rings films, and I was like, okay,
Lovely gal.
I don't know much about Lord of the Rings at the time, but like I'll go and see this movie with you. And this was back before you could pre-buy your tickets like you can now. And so we showed up to the premiere day of Return of the King. We had to be there 4 hours early just to stand in line to make sure you even got a seat. And then the film itself was just under 4 hours. So it was like an 8-hour movie day. And I was so excited because I got to hang out with this girl for 8 hours.
I say you got to spend time with it. That's a nice ass. That's a nice
It didn't
date.
work. Nothing ever happened.
shit.
But still, it was a good day. But I still remember that as the longest movie theater day ever.
Ben,
So,
you didn't stick the landing. I mean, what's up with
I
that?
didn't
man?
stick the landing. Hate to see it.
Man, I thought that had a happy ending for us. Damn.
No,
my
no
bad.
happy ending for me. Yeah. So, Classy, any thoughts on the proto versus final here? Any take there on just Lord of the Rings in general? What are your thoughts? buddy?
Not really. I mean, I think it's a very nice looking figure, and well, I was watching last night. I was watching who was it that I was watching? It was Mafia. I was watching Six-Scale Mafia, and I remembered that one of the guests had mentioned something that made perfect sense to me. Is that this figure is like a moment, like a photograph. It's like a moment in time, but your face is always moving. I mean, there's micro movements with your eyes, with your cheeks. I mean, your face is always moving. So trying to compare a figure to one, I mean, I've had sometimes where you catch my likeness in in one moment, and the very next moment, just the contortions of my face might make me look totally different. So I think that when you look at it, and when I look at that, I see Aragorn. I mean, I see. Is that his name? Well, I'm gonna say Vigo, because I mean that's who I know it is. But that's who I see when I see that. I think he's a clean up version of him. I mean, he definitely looks a little chippier than he does on the right side. He kind of looks like he's been through some stuff on the right side. And the hair is a little darker, but then again, it could be the lighting on
Different
there,
film as well. Different outfit.
Oh,
here,
different film. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, I don't see what the problem is. I think it's an exceptional looking figure. Like when I look at it, that looks like a human being. Mm-hmm. That doesn't look like a doll. It doesn't look like a action figure. It looks like I'm looking at a human being. And this human being that it represents is supposed to be Viggo Mortensen, and when I see that's who I see. So I don't know. People are going to complain about what people are going to complain about. I think that for the price point and everything like that you're getting you're getting your money's worth out of a figure of this high quality.
Good. No, good thoughts, Classy, for sure. For me, I'm somewhere in between because these are very high priced items, and Inart did advertise them as themselves as being the best. I would argue that they at least nailed that because this is the best version of Aragorn that will exist, at least in 6 scale as of right now. But I also do think that there could still be some room for improvements from other companies one day. So it'll be interesting to see. There is also him from other films, so maybe they'll broaden the line eventually. Hard to say, but let's stick with likeness one last time before we wrap the show today, because there have been some kind of leaked photos of Kang the Conqueror, or Jonathan Major's version of Kang the Conqueror, that have been floating around. And Classy, I'm pretty sure you had said you got this one on order, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I do.
Correct? Yeah. Is this, seeing the photos pop up this week, and the heavily blurred images, bad lighting, like just not great pictures. No offense to whoever took the pictures, because I'm not sure I could do them much better, but let's be honest. But not great photos in comparison to what we see with the original version. When you look at this photo here, the prototype picture is up on the top right of the screen there, versus this blurry, shitty photo on the bottom right here, from what we're seeing as a leaked picture. When I look at where the lines are on the forehead and in the sculpt, I actually think the sculpt is the same sculpt. It just remains to be seen whether we're losing some of that likeness there because of the paint apps, because of the lighting, because of the angle of the eyes, or what it is exactly. So it's too hard to tell at this point. Kind of, it feels like if Eddie was here, he would tell me this was a nothing burger, because until we see higher quality pictures, I'm still kind of reserving my judgment. This is one that I've got on order because from Quantumania, it was my favorite character from that film. And I thought it would be a cool figure to have. That was before any of his controversy as a person, being Jonathan Major. So since you got this one on order, Classy, any thoughts on that? Or do you feel like kind of what I said, this is also a nothing burger until we see better pictures?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you that it's pretty much a nothing burger. Plus, for me, I want the villains. I really do. I want more villains. And I am more likely to display him with the blue face. I don't think I would really use the more actual likeness. I don't think that when I receive it that I'm expecting it to maybe not be a good likeness, but that's not how I want to display him anyhow. I'm sure that we'll get Hot Toys quality as we normally do. I don't think it's I think that for those that leaked photo, it was a combination of, it was a bad photo, bad lighting. It wasn't something that was done with any level of care. So I don't know that that's a fair representation. I'm gonna give that one a nothing burger, but I really do. I'm looking forward to getting Kang into the collection because I'm really building up my villain collection, and so I'm excited about this.
Hell yeah! Now I would also argue here that we traditionally do not get enough figures that represent people of color. I think it's been a big issue for many years. I think Hot Toys has gotten better, but still a lot of work to do. I can think of at least 5 other characters that I would really, really like to see represented.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I'm hell yeah, right? So it bothers me a little bit that the message isn't being very well controlled here. If Marco was here, I'm sure he would say the same thing, because it's a badass character. Maybe he wasn't well represented in the film, and not to speak on Jonathan Major as a person, but the character is still a really cool character, and for collectors and people who love comics and that canon, it feels like a miss. It feels like a miss with them not controlling the message here very well. Calvin, is this a figure that you'd been considering getting prior to Jonathan Major's controversy? Are you still getting it despite it? What's your take on just, again, characters of representation of color not getting the love that others are getting at this point? What are your thoughts, buddy? Oh, sorry, Calvin, 1 second. I muted you, buddy. There, you're good there now. You're good. Yeah.
I don't think I can say it much better than Thomas said it, but Kang is coming home. Yeah, he had his controversy. I love how every headline says he was convicted of a misdemeanor. They keep making it sound like he's, you know, a serial killer or something like that. It is what it is.
Yeah, no doubt.
But no, I'm definitely having this come home. You couldn't have said it better. I try and get every single figure that of color to have representation on my shelves, and but I will definitely have the blue, not only the blue face sculpt on, but I'll have it lit up as well as part of the display.
Hell yeah, dude. Can you remind me, Calvin, because I forget, and I didn't do my homework here. Is this USB light up or was this battery light up?
I got to do my home. I don't remember, but regardless, it'll be lit. I don't remember which one it was, but if it's not USB, I'll get a fusion for it, so it'll
Hell
be
yeah,
up.
dude. That would look amazing. The lit eyes are badass in this one picture for sure. So, Theron's office says a nutting burger, which thank you. I am gonna get I'll get a new emoji made through Dean of a nutting burger for the members. 100%. That's a great idea, buddy. Thanks for that. Zach, certainly last but not least, buddy, any thoughts here on Majors or specifically Kang? Do you think that this is a downgrade, or do you think it's kind of a factor of just bad photos and people need to relax until they see what's coming? What are your thoughts?
I think Hot Toys should have put blogger photos out before releasing it, like they've done for every figure. I don't know if these are necessarily leaked photos. It just seems like someone had gotten it and took photos.
True. Good
I don't think like any of these got out for the factory or anyways. I don't know. What he was convicted or allegedly convicted, to be honest, like the whole court case just seemed like Hollywood sensationalism, and some of the text messages didn't look great, but I don't know. I'm sure if any of our texts got leaked at some point, we probably said things that we probably didn't mean or would probably put us in a different light. So, I don't know. I think the photos are bad, but I think it's a nothing burger. I think this is... If this came out like this, and it's that bad, I think it's up there with the Stuart Little Iron Man head sculpt. But I don't think it's that bad. Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. So,
I've heard some people speculate that it's so bad on purpose that they're trying to move away from the Jonathan Majors likeness, so they purposely made it soft. And I was like, I don't think that's true.
No, I don't think it's
I thought it was funny.
Looks like there's a lot of light on the figure.
A lot of light. Yes. Yeah. But the sculpting still looks pretty damn similar. Like I don't see it being that much different. Maybe, and again, it's so hard to say. The scarring on the cheeks, maybe not.
Yeah. But you're looking at like the bottom is like probably a poor cell phone photo, and the top is like a DSLR with good lighting and
an actual
good
picture.
What is it, white balance and focused, and this is a much better photo.
Yeah.
Even just the purples look completely different. So yeah, I'll be honest, like I wasn't gonna buy this before his court case. I'm not planning to buy this after his court case. The court case had no impact for me.
No bearing on it.
Yeah, but
he did get beaten by ants, I will say, at least in the film. So
I
hate to see that.
So there's that. So.
That guy Mark says, imagine having a cinematic versions of Kang, Doctor Doom, Thanos, Magneto, and Apocalypse figures all together one day. Have this one. That would be a wild display, dude. 100%. And
this is going to be hard to find once it's gone. People are going to be searching for this once it's gone.
Yeah, I agree.
And the next slide here was supplied by Collector Joey to the online Interverse here. It wasn't given to me specifically. In terms of all the ones that have come out so far, I don't think I missed any, but you guys can correct me if I did. In terms of speculation on what's coming next, I don't really have any because it's hard to know with Hot Toys. They don't seem to have that great of a plan. But looking at this list, I am very much hoping for Batman 89 to be my next figure to come out. So we will see there. But guys, that is the show for today. I do want to remind everybody, if you're interested and you buy from 1/6 Kit, the Ben Thomas Show now has a code for everybody, not just for members. You can use ToughNut10 to get $10 off whatever purchase you make next over at 1/6 Kit. Save yourself a little bit of money. There's no kickbacks for me, but I just think it's kind of fun to have a little code that people can use. And I liked that he actually allowed me to say Tough Nut as part of my code. So all good there. We did go through some of the membership perks in terms of badges as well as emojis. I think I'm going to get a nutting burger made up. Great call there, buddy. I'll give you some credit on that one. In terms of the Tough Nut crew, we got Alvin J collecting Weekly Money Mendez, 6-Scale Mafia, Katera, Feezy's Figures, King Dingaling, Sith Scale Collector, Paul Schreiber, The Batman, The Movie Canon, 1/6 Figure Focus, SpongeBob Square Balls, Rogue One Photography, Peter Cass, Ryan Smith, Collector Joey, Sam Guest, 14 Wellington, Jose G. Hernandez, 12-Inch Moose Dream, Collection Obsession, Blurred Dad Life, Danny Spotchka, Rachel Miller, Honest Hansel, Action in the Box, Figurecraft, Neilerific, Action Figure Academy, X-Men Supreme, Don Maton, Kenneth Jacobson, Valkyrie Magnus, Adrian Cervantes, Alex Serrato, and Christopher Balzano. Thank you so much for becoming channel members. We also have PCR as our newest channel member of the day. I will make sure you get on the slide for next week, good sir. In terms of upcoming weeks for Let's Get Nuts, I do still plan to be here next Sunday. Right now, I do work in the painting industry. The summertime is kind of the craziest time of year for me. So I may move Let's Get Nuts to a bi-weekly schedule here in the upcoming weeks. So stay tuned for an announcement on that. I'll bring it back to weekly potentially once I'm through some of my crazy time. But let me know if you guys would be disappointed by that, if you'll still show up every other week versus every week. Would definitely be appreciated. In terms of my panelists, boys, thank you so much for being here today, taking time out of your Sunday, of course, to be with me and help support the show. And, of course, thank you to all of our chat members, as well as everybody just in the chat, just existing, who are just watching the show and having a good time. Classy, real quick, anything coming up for you, buddy, that we can look forward to this week?
Not this week. In 2 weeks, we will have another CW movie night. And we will be doing Plan 9 from Outer Space. Yay!
Okay. Oh yeah.
So it's gonna be some fun. Of course, I'll be on, After Dark on Wednesdays with on the regular with the Oxfather and all the other crew. So I'm gonna surprise you guys. I really am. One day I'm gonna come up. There's just gonna be like a short or actual video that's just gonna pop up one day, and I'm just gonna put it out there and see who notices it.
Hell yeah.
And just see what happens. So I'm gonna surprise y'all one day. I promise you.
I'm excited to hear it, buddy. Classy, as always, thank you so much for being back, buddy. I appreciate you. Mm-hmm. I'll definitely see you on the next round, I'm sure of it.
Yes.
Mr. Low-Key Collector Calvin, I'm glad you're safe. Thanks for participating today either way, buddy. Your headset is crispy. Considering you're in a truck, that thing is beautiful sounding.
Appreciate it.
I hope things are going well in the road for you and in life. Anything popping up for you this week, anywhere you're going to be? That we can look forward to?
I'll be with Leia on the guys. Say What Wednesday. I'll be on, I believe, 6-Scale Reviews with Dan, with LWO with the fellas Friday, back with Leia Sunday morning with Collectors Lounge.
Nice. I gotta
Thanks for having me.
Always, dude. Thank you so much for coming in. I gotta get back in touch with Leal. He'd said a couple weeks ago that he wanted to join in, and then I had a couple weeks where I was kind of off, and so I've been meaning to reach back out to him and jumping back in, 100%. So, if Leal, if you're listening on the after show or even right now, I'll be reaching out to you, buddy. Sorry I haven't got back to you a little bit sooner. Mr. Zach, the Oxfather himself, king of collecting weekly. Don't tell Dean I said that. He'll be upset. Anything popping up for you this week, good sir, that we can look forward to on the Collecting Weekly side?
Just a regular show on Tuesday, Wednesday After Dark, Thursday Small Talk, Friday Chuck and Adam on Friday nights, and then I think Saturday we'll play D&D also, Baldur's Gate 3. So we are coming up around the corner on 10,000. So supposedly one of our Patreons said if we get 10,000 before July, they'll give away a Hot Toys figure, but they're like, well, I don't know. So we'll see. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Wow.
But we have a giveaway that we're doing.
Because it's happening
Tuesday.
Faster than they expected.
Right.
Yeah, I think they said it as a joke, and then they're like, oh, shit. On Tuesday, if you collect Figuarts, we're doing 2 giveaways on the main show, 8:30 Central. One is a pair of Figuarts, Goku and Vegeta Super Saiyan 4. And then the other one is a House of the Dragon Season 1 Blu-ray set. So
nice.
Stay tuned for that. That was our 4K giveaway, but we ended up going crazy this week. So we might have another giveaway soon. But yeah.
Gotta stack all those Ks. You love to see it.
I know.
Yeah. Always do. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you. And once again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show today, guys, when we talked about analytics and we talked about YouTubers and all of the things, it wasn't meant to call anybody out. At the end of the day, I think it's part of being a community of folks that talk about this stuff. We're not all supposed to get along. That's okay. But let's support each other. The smaller creators who are trying to get their name out there, make sure you like and subscribe to their content. Because it does make a big difference. That's the currency nowadays of trying to get YouTube to actually notice these channels. And there's a lot of very, very deserving people that work hard on their shows. So let's support those folks. But guys, with all of that said, once again, Mr. Classy Thomas, we got nuts.
Yes, we did.
And I'll catch you on the next one, buddy. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Wow, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Because subscribing makes you feel good.
Where should I go? What should I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
It's gone. It's all gone.